Before we kick off the show, Into the Breach is excited to be teaming up with 9line Apparel, a veteran-owned apparel company that celebrates the spirit of freedom, courage, and American values. Go check out 9lineapparel.com for freedom-loving, patriotic gear perfect for your family members, first responders, veterans, and active duty service members. When you're done selecting the amazing merchandise and apparel 9line has to offer, punch in the code ITB20. That's India Tango Bravo 20 for a 20% discount off your next purchase at 9lineapparel.com. VetTV is a streaming service created by veterans for veterans, with over 30 different series ranging from the absurd to on-the-ground war reporting on the front lines of Ukraine. Into the Breach listeners have an exclusive discount of paying $1 a month for the first 2 months of subscription with the code BREACH. So head on over to VetTV and type in BREACH at checkout to receive this incredible offer for your VetTV subscription. Thank you for listening, and now back to the show.
All right. Cameras are rolling. Jack Mandaville.
Ethan, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Dude,
Two Minnesota boys.
Two Minnesota boys. I'm so excited to have you on. Happy 250th Marine Corp birthday. So a little coffee.
A salute. I didn't even realize, because I know we've been trying to make this happen, and I'm in town conveniently, and I said, hey, I got this time I'll be in your area. I didn't even realize it was on the birthday. So you're the only actual Marine I'll be spending the Marine Corps 250th with.
Exactly. Yeah. And I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, all right. Because tomorrow is Veterans Day. So
Yes.
most people get off, or like I'll meet up with my buddies that are Army vets, and we'll go to we'll cash in on some of the free food.
Go to IHOP.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We do B-dubs, and then we make our way to Hooters, and then we go to the Mall of America and just.
Oh yeah, you're not far.
No, we're not far. I'm literally 12 minutes away. So I'll literally we'll just start there, get drunk, and then make our way through the Mall of America for free hamburgers. It's fun.
The ultimate way of doing it. Yeah.
And I have a hat that's the vet hat that literally says Iraq and Afghanistan veteran.
Yeah.
So I rock that for the
With your little pins.
I need pens. I need to get pens.
What division were you in?
3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines. So 3rd Marine Division.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's you don't mean
No
a lot
longer
of
exists.
3rd Marine. Oh, I didn't even know that.
They dismantled like a year or two ago now. I think a year. No,
Oh,
last year.
wow.
It was either the beginning of this year. Actually, it might have been the beginning of this year or last year. Yeah.
When I was working on a project in Hawaii, and we went to the Kaneohe Bay where the Marine 3rd Marine Regiment is, and I was talking to the commander of 3rd Marine Regiment, and this was 2-3 years ago, but he was telling me, I've been out of the Marines for 20 years. I don't keep track of tactical stuff. I'm way beyond that at this point in my life. But he was telling me that 3rd Marines there, that 3rd Marine Regiment, that they're pretty much the guinea pigs for this new Marine infantry format that is probably going to be the future of the Marine Corps. He's explaining it to me. It's the infantry squad, the infantry platoon that we knew is going to go by the wayside. It's going to be this whole new structure to the Marine infantry, which, it sounds like these guys have thought this through.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I know one of my buddies, he was Skinna. He was a chief warrant officer. He ended up getting out, I think it's CW 3 or 4, but he was in the Marine Corps a long time. And I believe, if I'm correct, and I'll probably get corrected on this, is he helped develop and change the amount of training that infantry Marines get. So I don't know what you were like. You said you went in 2002. I went in 2005.
Yeah.
There's also the surge.
At this point, that's the same time period.
Yeah, exactly. And but I remember when I was in, when I went in, they were really trying to move guys through. And we were like 6 to 8 weeks maybe of training. Now they're like 15.
Yeah, which is great.
Which is great. They double it. He said that they emphasized on team leaders. So you will do mission op wards, you'll do fragos, and then you'll just keep redoing it. And they just run patrols. And then everyone switches out, so everyone kind of gets the feel of everything. And then they do multiple lanes. You have a chance to screw things up, correct it. So when you get to the fleet, they're a much more whole polished Marine
baby
infantry.
Marine.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I could do everything right, but at least when I showed up, dude,
you're just thrown into the meat of it. I showed up in the worst circumstances myself.
Right, same,
They're like, I didn't know. The people. I basically showed up with a deployment already happening, and people were like, "Were you scared?" I was like, "I was so brand new, I didn't know what I was supposed to feel." I was looking around at how other people were reacting. Like when a plane is hitting bad turbulence, you look at the flight attendant. If they're cool, I'm cool. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was the thing too, is like, even when I got to the fleet, I was just excited because they weren't going to haze me. And I was like, awesome. Like I got there and they go, because we're leaving in 60 days. They go, hey, we don't have time to haze you.
Right.
We need to train you.
Well,
and I was like, thank God.
That's, I came in, I caught the tail end of that peacetime Marine Corps where that was still very much a thing. But by the time we were leaving, 06, 07, we didn't have time for that as, young NCOs.
Yeah.
We knew it's like, this is pointless. We need to train these guys up. Yeah.
And again, that's where I came in. It was like January of 06. It was like January 5th of 2006. So I was like in that cool, like I wasn't the old Marine, peacetime Marines where hazing is all basically your combat action ribbon, or that's it. It's like, oh, they've gone to war. New guys are here. We need to train them and go. So I was in that nice little groove. I'm like, and part of me was like that too. I was like, dude, I'm here to fight wars. I'm not here to like play grab ass games with you.
Right.
Like I'm not here to do that. It's 2005. The war's in its height.
Yeah.
I'm here to do a job. I get the hazing, but like I was so bummed because I thought I was going to go to 29 Palms for like 9 months and it was going to be a nightmare. And most of my unit
that,
did.
Yeah.
Most of my infantry school did. There's 10 of us that went to Hawaii for onesie, twosie fill-ins for the deployment. So I got so lucky. So lucky.
Yeah, that dudes my age. Again, I did 4 years 20 years ago. I'm a veteran, and that's all I am. I'm not in the Marine Corps. I don't have opinions what the Marine Corps is up to. And when guys my age, they get, they do the whole back in my day thing. Yep. It's just, oh, they don't even haze anymore. I'm like, it wasn't great. Do you have fond memories of that? We were punished for dumb things. It wasn't a good feeling. It's a good thing they don't do that.
Yeah.
They don't shoot with iron sights anymore. I'm like, seems like they're a little more lethal than they were. Why are you bothered by that?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And that's the thing with me was like, it's like I'd rather with my hazing as you were in such good shape that I just killed my Marines in running.
Right.
And it's like, oh, cool. Like,
yeah, that's not hazing.
If I'm running a 6-minute mile and you run a 7-minute mile, it's going to seem like hazing to you.
Right.
But,
but that's not like holding them down and putting cigarettes out on their arms.
That's hazing.
It got out of control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we went through that generation. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the things that they do now and I mean, the technology, I think there was because we were working a lot with UAV. Everyone's talking about FPV drones and stuff. And I know the new Marine Corps, they just came out with something that they had their first course on, I think like FPV drone strikes or something to do with drone tactics within the squad. And
wow.
There's like the last 2 years have been, I mean, clearly things are happening around the world that people are like, oh, we should probably take note, As
a civilian and a citizen and a guy that just wants to do the work he does, I'm grateful that there's people on this planet whose full-time job is to think about war and study war and execute on war and I'm glad there's still people signing up to do it because I don't want to think about that scary ass shit anymore at this point.
I know, right? Yeah, but I do. I like to go over once in a while.
Yeah.
Just get a little. Maybe sprinkle a little bit of documentary in there. In my.
I know you still like doing the war corresponding. Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought since it was when you first handed me this mug, I thought it because of the color, I thought it was a Marine Corps mug, and then I realized no, it's a Gryffindor mug.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. I had to. You're a storyteller. We're storytellers. We're creatives. That's why I love having you.
With J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling. Storyteller.
Dude, amazing. We were telling this before you came on, and I loved the Harry Potter series. I was in the Marine Corps Scout Sniper Platoon when I was reading them for the first time. So the amount of shit that I got for reading Harry Potter.
For enjoying something. That was harmless. That didn't hurt anybody else.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah, it didn't impede your ability to be productive at your job.
Nope.
It was something because you weren't playing video games or
reading Tom Clancy
or looking at Hustler magazines because you were enjoying this book that everybody else in the world enjoys, by the way. Somehow you were different and weird.
Yep, that's very true. Yeah, it was. I had the big, thick Harry Potter book in the top of my rucksack in between Scout Sniper missions or like on Scout Sniper missions, but in between watch, so I was pretty pumped. But yeah, bro. All right, well, we'll jump into it. We're already jumping into it. you know, you're a Minnesota boy, do a little bit of history. We got some time here to burn. So let's dive into Jack Mandaville.
Yeah, Minnesota boy. You know what I realized recently, though? I will always consider myself a Minnesotan. That's my home state. I still root for Minnesota sports. I still go out of my way to see the Twins, either here in Minneapolis or even on the road, especially. But I've lived in Texas just as long as, at this point, just as long as I lived in Minnesota growing up.
That's wild.
So I'm old. Yeah. But,
we're all getting up there. Yeah.
So I'm a Minnesotan, but I'm actually I've spent enough time in Texas to where I can also claim that.
Well, I know we've talked before your journey. So what kind of obviously Marine Corps. You're an invasion veteran, infantry.
Yes,
big,
I'm old.
Big part of life. Well, I agree with you. I'm 20, just like you. You got out in 06. I got out in 09. So
yeah.
you came up on your 20 year. I'm coming up on my 20-year first deployment.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I joined 20 years ago. That's blows my mind. You know? So it's like all that's starting to come through. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah. So what was your, inkling to go? Except Minnesota. Like, why'd you join the Marine Corps?
Yeah. A lot of people have romantic stories about that kind of stuff. I don't. It was mainly because I needed to buy 4 years because all my friends had already been accepted to college, and I hadn't even bothered doing that. And I realized I needed to buy some time. And I walked into the recruiting office, and I basically said to the recruiter, like, I took the ASVAB and all that. They're like, hey, you qualify for some jobs? And I was like, who are the storming the beach and the commercial guys? He's like, you mean the infantry? He was like, yeah, I'll do that. I didn't even know what the infantry was called. I just called them the storming the beach guys. And so that's how I ended up as an 03.
Awesome. Yeah. I love it, dude. The 03 stories are the best, though. Because I think I was telling my wife this. Or it's like the span that who goes into 03s. It's like rock bottom, or this was my last.
Yeah. Homeschooled hillbillies.
Yeah. Last resort.
Yeah.
Or the other spectrum was I wanted to join this. I'm the
I grew up
valedictorian.
with a
Yeah. It's like every in between. So it's such a weird thing because most, as we all know, it's like or that like I don't know what I do. So ended up in the infantry, or guys like in myself, because people ask me, what was your background? I was like, I was the high school football captain and wrestling captain, like decent grades, but I'm the guy that was like, I want to do infantry, Yeah. And then my other buddies are like, I was doing coke in college and I was burned out.
I knew a lot of guys that got thrown out of college.
They're like, last resort, join the Marine Corps.
And that's the thing is I did see the other jobs, but they all kind of looked boring. I knew I chose the infantry because I'm like, oh, that seems fun. Get to shoot guns, storm the beach. Cool. So, that just seemed, you watch war movies, that's what they're not about. The guys, no offense to those guys, they're extremely important, but they're rarely about the guys fixing Jeeps.
Yeah, the logistics train behind it. Yeah, like, we got to get this pallet off.
Important jobs, but not sexy for movies.
Exactly. And there's we didn't know what the logistics guy at Black Hawk Down was doing, or the C-130 loader.
Which they again. Now that I'm older and I've done these USO shows over the years, so I've gotten to see this broader way that the military operates, and I truly have an appreciation for every single person that serves. And there are people in support jobs that their support jobs are way more important than what some ground pounder's doing in a lot of ways. But not sexy for movies.
No, I know that too. My third pump to Afghanistan. Well, you kind of saw it with the others, but that third deployment, everyone was working together. But yeah, it's like, and what I loved about them is everyone gave the infantry guys such respect, because so you're like, hey, can I get like a case of Rippets? And they're like, dude.
Yeah.
Come over on Monday.
You might die, sure,
exactly.
dude.
Yeah, but they were great. Like, hey, can we get there? Like, dude, the stuff they would give us, it was like life-saving. And they were. They keep the bases running, the electrical going. Like, dude, absolutely. I 100% agree. Like, no. And I have friends that were Marine Corps who, bullets don't fly without supply. But, I know you guys do all the cool stuff, but I love my job. And I'm like, as you should. Like, their war effort was making sure the plane gets off the ground and that the logistics were planned.
Extremely important.
And they get off on it, and I'm like, as you should. You know, and they are diehard. I'm like, that's great. Like, we absolutely need that. That's as important as in warfare.
I find it weird too. Like, if you did 4 years like I did around the same period as I did, and you're still throwing out the these pogues. I'm like, get over it, dude. Like none of that matters anymore. Yeah.
Yes, which is 20 years later.
Which one of those medals is, you know, you got the Purple Heart license plate, you get better parking at the airport, I guess.
Yep.
But
Home
like,
Depot.
what is any of it doing for you at this point, right?
Yep.
We were all on the same team.
Yep. Exactly. So what was that journey then going to the office saying that, you know, like you said you got there, what was it like pre-invasion Iraq? But you were pre-invasion Iraq because there's always this weird thing of like pre 9/11.
Technically, I was like a week pre-invasion Iraq.
Yeah, but you had 9/11, which everyone's like pre 9/11 to 9/11. But for the Marine Corps, it's weird because I don't want to say our war started in the Iraq invasion, but 9/11 was like special operations, Green Berets. There was some Marines
at that time.
At that time. Yeah. So it's not like when guys were in the Marine
10th
Corps.
Mountain was definitely
10th
already
Mountain.
getting into it.
Yeah, Army, big deal. Marine Corps, the MEU went, but it wasn't, and it also in generalities, it wasn't as big of a push as Iraq.
No.
So it's like, I know a lot of guys that were after 9/11, they're like, nothing really changed, you know,
It was
until
a
the
weird-
invasion, you know.
My battalion was some of the first Marines there post 9/11, and it was such a weird time that one of the guys, I wasn't there yet, this was one of my seniors, he stepped on an old Soviet landmine in Afghanistan, like, you know, 3
really?
months after 9/11, got his foot blown off, but because they didn't take fire, he got a Purple Heart, but no combat action ribbon. So he's walking around with a Purple Heart, but no combat action ribbon.
That's wild.
Which I feel like if you step on a landmine, it counts.
It counts. It counts. Yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of those wild stories from my buddies that were also invasion, and right after, there was no like, and maybe there is, and I'm sure someone in the comments tell us, you know, but there was like no set doctrine on Purple Hearts either at some point.
Oh my God. It was
I'm sure you probably would have ran into it, but there was one guy, he said he ran into it at like, I think like the sergeant's course or whatever, right? He was like, he got shot through and through, but the reason he didn't receive a Purple Heart, because he was like limpy, he was like medical stuff, and they're like, what's wrong with you? He's like, I got shot. And they're like, where's your Purple Heart? Because, you know, they're doing all the racks and stuff. He's like, my unit didn't think that you rated a Purple Heart unless you were on bed rest for like 24 hours or something.
Crazy,
or something
right?
Like you had to go to the
shrapnel
hospital.
is shrapnel.
Yeah,
a bullet is a bullet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know guys that have gotten nicked, and I know guys we all know have lost limbs. So
Or lost their lives.
Lost their life. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, obviously. You know, but I mean, is what it is. You know, whether you know. So, yeah, what was that like? What was it like going from, you know, you're working up infantry school, like especially the momentum, like, you know, you're feeling like you're seeing it in infantry school. You're like, are we invading Iraq? Like it sounds like you're, you know what I'm saying? Like if you guys are in the chow hall in infantry school and like, were you going to Iraq? You know, I imagine that was in your guys' psyche.
It was, for me personally, my earliest memories that I remember a world outside of Minnesota was watching Desert Storm happen on TV when I was 7 years old. Mm-hmm. And that only lasted 3 days. So in my head, I never really thought it was going to be real, I didn't think it was going to be real because Desert Storm was such a fast and done war. And I mean, by the time I left SOI and we pretty much got on a bus and got all of our equipment and got on a plane and we landed in Kuwait, I think early March of 2003. And by March 19th, I was in 1st Marine Division. So we were one of the first ones crossing the border when it kicked off. So it happened that fast. I mean, I landed in Kuwait. I barely knew the name of anybody in my chain of command. I knew some SOI buddies, and that was about it. Mm-hmm. And we were in it.
So you actually had, how many did you come with from SOI?
Well, now I was a 0313 by that time, so I was a LAV crewman.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
So
all right, okay. Explain that for me, because I'm okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a bastard infantry MOS. They tossed me into that, and so that was about, instead of just going from SOI to the fleet, we did about 6 extra weeks of schooling. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I got to the fleet, was in Kuwait, right before everything kicked off. And it was just a company full of brand new dudes. And it was a weird time because we were the first ones to get issued the MARPATs. Mm-hmm. So, and then all the rest of the guys were all in the old tricolors. And supply was so jacked up that some of those dudes were wearing the chocolate chip camis from Desert Storm. It was just, I had my flak vest was so old it wouldn't even Velcro. So the only way I couldn't even put a plate in it. I only had one plate. So I had to choose whether I wanted to put it in my back or my front, and it wouldn't Velcro. So the LBV is what held the whole thing together. It was, and going to what you said earlier, I never got hit, but I had a mortar land in front of the vehicle, and it sent shrapnel. We'd hang our packs on the outside of the vehicle, and it sent shrapnel through the vehicle, and all my what was it? What was the packs we used back then? Not the Alice pack.
Oh, it was
the Molly
pack.
Yeah, and all my what was the shove? The E-tool that got covered in shrapnel. The pack, and I remember after that deployment was over, I went to SIF, and I was handing all the stuff, and the SIF guy was yelling at me for my stuff being so covered in these holes. Why is there so many holes in your stuff? I'm like, dude, have you not watched the news? There's been a war going on. But that's how new the war was, that like dudes were getting hit and not getting Purple Hearts, and people were, our stuff was jacked up from combat, and they were yelling at us like this happens in some training accident. So yeah, it was a weird time.
Yeah. And the LAV too. I remember the LAV, when I went through in 05, I actually helped go clean the LAVs, like their bay in Camp Horno or something. Or no, sorry, in
Los Flores.
Was it? Yeah. There's I think the training one, infantry school. Did you go west? You went West Coast.
Yeah, it's next to Horno. Horno is with First Marines is, I don't know.
Yeah. But they had the training. I remember going in there. And
at SOI there.
At SOI, yeah. I went to go clean that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But LAV, by that point, it was weird because I think there's some reservists that were going to go, but I don't remember it ever being like, I don't want to say an option. It was weird. It was like in that weird, like, I don't remember people like, oh, I'm going to go be an LAV. I remember reservists maybe doing it, but that was it. Like,
I think reservists are the only ones that were allowed to like get that guaranteed.
Contract. Yeah.
I didn't know what LAVs were. They literally, I think every 2 or 3 cycles of SOI, they need a new class for LA, and they'll just pluck at random. I don't think there's some sort of, I think it's just alphabetical, and they're like, hey, we'll send these kids to LAV. And that's how it happened for me. I didn't choose to do that. They're like, all right, you're going to go to this LAV thing. I'm like, okay.
That's pretty sweet, though. But I mean, that is a pretty cool system, man. That's a pretty cool vehicle. Is it not? I mean, like,
it's old.
Yeah, it's old. Yeah.
It's cool. It's nice. It becomes your home. And unlike the regular infantry, there's, especially if you're a driver like I was that first deployment, better sleeping options. You have a little more space to yourself, which is nice. No, yeah, it's you grow to love those things.
Yeah.
Those old rust buckets. I seen them now. I was there at my old camp a year ago working on a documentary, and I got to see them, and oh man, they've done a lot of great work to those things. They're cool now.
So those, but back did they have the Bushmaster on them when you went through?
Still do, I believe.
Still Bushmaster.
25 Mike, yeah.
Yeah.
Bushmaster chain gun.
Yeah. They were like, I remember they're telling me about it, and they're like, dude, it's a chain gun. It's got a gyro stabilized thing, so it can it'll always keep the gun level, as you're like going 70 miles an hour, 80, whether they're like, yeah, you can bomb with it. And
I think that's newer technology. Yeah.
Okay. This was 2005. They were telling me about it.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, look, if you put me in a uniform right now and you drop me back in that environment, I wouldn't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. No, it's so,
I went back there to screen a movie for my old battalion, and I'm like, oh, I'm the same age as the sergeant major and first sergeants here. So I'm not in touch anymore.
No, it's so weird thinking about that, because my buddies are either said they retired in July or are retiring, or they are first sergeant, sergeant major, and not a lot of them, as you know, infantry guys don't stick around too long, even,
right?
So it's like even a lot of guys I know aren't sticking around or making like, oh, that guy's my sergeant major, or sergeant major. Very few of those guys that I know. But that's pretty cool. So the LAV. So did you cross the border, or did you cross into Iraq then in LAV? So you were full on LAR, correct?
Yeah, first LAR. Yeah,
first LAR.
We were, as far as I know, one of the first battalions to punch through that berm.
Yeah. Well, so what was okay, so you get to your unit. I always like doing this because I have my own stories with this. So what was that like getting to the unit, and then you're like, we're leaving? Like, what was the time frame? You stepped back to your what unit? Sorry, the
first LAR.
First LAR.
Yeah.
So like you dropped your sea bags. we're getting on that big U.S. Airways bird to go to Kuwait. I don't know if it was U.S. Airways when you were there or when you did it, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think we took a Delta flight.
Yeah.
It was a nice ride over.
Yeah. Oh, all ours were too. Believe me, it was a nice ride over
to Kuwait. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we took like a commercial flight to Kuwait and then checked in with our unit in Kuwait and
you checked in Kuwait.
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't even go to the barracks at First LAR.
No, I never.
Infantry school too.
I didn't know what Camp Pendleton fleet life was like until we were done with that deployment.
No shit.
We went straight from basically SOI to checking in with our unit in Kuwait about a week and a half before everything kicked off.
Really?
Yeah, I have very little recollection of that time period once we landed and then before we invaded. We ate in little makeshift chow halls. It was not as nice as it is now.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, it was just tense and we'd go out and do a little training in the middle of the desert and that was about it.
Dude, that's so awesome. I mean, like, I know people are like, that's wild. That's so awesome, though, if you know what the life is like in the Marine Corps, to be like, I'm going from infantry school to the war.
Straight
that's like the
to
best.
war, yeah.
I had 60 days, which was still great. But if the only way to make it better is to go from infantry school to the war.
Dude, I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. I didn't know if that was not normal. It's just like, by the way, like, again, we were getting combat for our first time the same as our seniors were. There was probably a couple Desert Storm guys that were like staff NCOs, but like all of our corporals and it was a first for all of us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like the best scenario for a boot.
Dude,
I
basically did Mojave Viper with people actually shooting at you.
The coyotes.
That was my first deployment. Yeah.
There's still some random coyote like, okay, you did good.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow, that's crazy. So you showed up right out of infantry school. They took you on a bird, flew over, met with your unit. And so what was that like then? Like, said your NCOs are new. Were they like, all right, we're all in this together, you know?
You're
like,
on my
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, it was different back in those early 2000s. They could be aggressive with us. When, you know, that probably wasn't the best time. Yeah. But it was a different time.
Yeah, different time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I my guys were just, you know, they're like, all right, well, we got to train you up. Now, did we get to do stupid shit? We did, but like, it wasn't anything to any crazy extent. So yeah, but I imagine getting in, and they also, I remember having the conversation with them because they had done Afghanistan, but this was 2004 Afghanistan, not like 2010, even though there's still a lot of firefights going on. They just weren't in a ton of them. And so when we got there, they were like, because it was everyone's first time to Iraq, they were like, we are all on the same page. Like I remember sitting there with my squad leader, like, this is new to all of us. We're all in this together. Even though they were seniors, they've seen some combat, but it was like, Iraq is a whole nother ball game. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
You know, now go and clean my shit.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Go to the shit, or, you know, go burn shit now for the next 7 months. You know,
yeah.
That's part of
I did a lot of that. Yeah.
Yep.
Shit burning. Yep. That was that. I remember that. I remember that probably more than I remember the gunfights. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I when people talk about Jarhead, the movie that had come out in 2005, they're like, did you burn shit? I'm like, yeah, I actually did. 20 years later or whatever.
It's still a thing.
And now the VA is catching up. now there's a lot of social media hubbub about it. Like, breathing in gasoline chemicals for
and human shit,
human feces for 7 months straight. It doesn't do well for your system.
No.
So, yeah, that's pretty wild. So, what was you guys got to your unit and then crossing that phase line, man? What was that like?
Again, I was just so brand new. I don't recall having any feelings other than I realized we were going to war. Don't get me wrong.
You're still in there like, we're doing this?
Yeah.
We're doing this?
But it's more of a looking around like, okay, if my NCO is cool with it, then I'm cool with it type of thing. Yeah. We didn't get contact until I think at least a week into it. Because we got hit with that big Shamal, or the big that storm that pretty much put the entire division, stopped the entire American Armed Forces dead in its track for 24 or 48 hours.
Yeah, I think I remember reading about that.
I remember that, yeah. And then after that, I think is when we first got contact and things started happening. Once we got closer to Baghdad, and then we got in. That's when we start shooting.
Yeah. That's what I always ask. What's that like? That first like ping zing going by. You're like, is this? Because my first time's like that too. It's like, is that what it is? You're kind of like,
yeah. The first time I remember contact, it was us just unloading into a house, and I think we had the complete advantage. The first time I remember we took contact where I knew they were like shooting at us. That what I talked about earlier is like all that shrapnel that went tearing through. I had a mortar. They L-shaped ambushed us, and mortar landed right in front of my vehicle, blew out 4 out of the 8 tires, and blew my pack up. And one of our scouts, I think he got concussion or something, knocked him down. And that was the first time I was like, okay, they're shooting at us. This is not good. But we effed them up as far as I know. Yeah.
yeah. They're shooting at us now.
Yeah, I was driving. I was driving. My job was to keep that vehicle going straight at 5 kph.
Yeah.
Stay on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they blew out your tires. So
And they blew out my. I couldn't even do that. Yeah.
I couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the reference for audience, the LAVs have 8 tires on them.
8
and
tires.
they're fast. They're typically pretty fast.
Yeah,
Correct?
on pavement. Yeah,
On pavement,
you can move those things down the freeway at the speed of the flow of traffic. Through like heavier sand, tanks have the advantage, but you can still move pretty well in most terrain.
Yeah, most terrain. And because people get them confused a little bit because my buddy Chris had on. He was in the striker brigades from the Army, and they're kind of similar.
They look very similar.
Yeah. And that got stood up in 04, and he was Mosul, Iraq, 04, and it was like the first deployment of striker, and he said it was amazing because they were fast, they're lethal. They didn't. They were just like he's like even the tier 1 guys were wanting to get with them because they weren't. They
could get in and out.
They could get in and out.
We used to drop
fast.
sniper teams off all the time, or recon teams. We used to insert and extract people. That was a good use of LAR. I heard it said. I worked on that doc a year ago, and it was the first time I ever heard that, and it makes a lot of sense. If you had to explain what LAR is within the Marine Corps combat arms realm, it's the Marine Corps doesn't have a cavalry mission like the Army does, but LAR is essentially the closest you'll get to the Marine Corps having it's the CAV. What the CAV is to the Army is what LAR essentially is to the Marine Corps. Okay. It's very similar to a CAV mission.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Which makes sense. Like it's like
smaller platoons.
Yeah. They still in existence then, LAR? You still
think?
Okay. Yeah.
I think they're also with the future of the Marine, from what I understand, with the future of the Marine Corps, they're going to be going through some drastic changes. I don't even know if they might exist in the next 10, 20 years, which is sad to think about, but the Marine Corps is changing to adapt to the changing combat atmosphere, and I think LAR...
Yeah,
it's in a gray zone from what I understand.
Well, they did that with Scout Snipers 2-3 years ago.
That was sad, man.
I'm like,
snipers in Marine Corps. You think of those things, together.
And the thing is, people are like, oh well, it does go in and out of phases. It's not the first time the Marine Corps has done away with Scout Snipers, or they go stay platoon and then they go different. But it was a bit of a kick in the gut because you're like, that's the MOS that you wanted to get rid of, It's like, and on top of that,
they got rid of tanks too. That was a surreal thing for the Marine Corps to chuck tanks.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I know they like gave the guys options, go to the Army. They're like, you can cross deck to the Army, and your time and everything shifts over.
Really,
like the Marine Corps was. Well, that was
very.
Where do they go?
You don't get to say this a lot about the Marine Corps, but that was very fair of them.
They're like, well, you're done. Who cares?
Yeah.
We're not even writing you recommendation letters. It's the Army, And but yeah, it was really weird to see that go away in this time frame. But I remember the Marine Corps Scout Sniper, which I think it in combat and in other branches gets a lot of respect. So it's like, when I did the things that I did.
Carlos Hathcock.
Yeah.
It's a big brand.
Well, it was also the training as well. I mean, I think a lot of people think, oh, you can shoot really well. It's like, well, it wasn't that. And that wasn't the reason why other branches or special operations respected it. It was because we did the other things, which
stalking,
was mission planning. Yeah. We can call in naval gunfire. We can establish LZs. We can do all sorts of the slew of other things.
And you're a battalion asset.
Exactly. Reconnaissance, intelligence, all the above. We used to make fun of the recon guys because we're like, well, we can do more than you and we can pull the trigger. You have to call your command, or whatever. We'd always bust their balls. But yeah, it was, because when I was attached to a special forces team, I was in charge. They put me in charge of their sniper team. Because,
wow.
Yeah. Well, because of less my
E4, E5 Marine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, everyone was on the same playing field. And on top of it, it was just like, I had the combat experience, but also my mission planning organization. Like I knew all that.
I've noticed that because I've done a lot of in my entertainment career. Ironically, I've been to Camp McCall, and I've done a lot of work with like special forces. I did a short doc on them. They value that. Yeah. They value mission planning more than anything,
which is crazy because like I didn't know
maturity.
This. Yeah, it was absolutely, and I think with the other branches, which I do believe the Marine Corps does have, and I've talked with like Delta dudes, SEALs. Everyone always has a good time, making fun of SEALs or whatever, rightfully so. But the SEALs, though, one thing I didn't realize, which makes a lot more sense when you start diving into their stories, is they don't do mission planning. Like, and the initiative that's being taken by Marines and Marine infantry, like SEALs, even though it's awesome, they're doing this cool job.
Yeah,
it's
Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, they're very much. They don't even like their team leader or like leadership courses isn't even till like down the road. Whereas Marines, because we're broke and have to do everything ourselves, you're teaching a private and a lance corporal everything that like a special forces like and Navy SEALs that they get later on in training, we get way before. Like we get our mission planning early on, we get the discipline, the initiative, good initiative, bad judgment. We're always taking initiative. We're always doing, getting aggressive, all these other things.
As a conventional force, I think that's what makes the Marine Corps good is you've got lance corporals running fire teams, and if they go down, the junior guy theoretically can take over and do that job.
Which is crazy because once again, I worked with special forces and and even as we both gotten older, we work, way other branches. I work with a lot of Rangers now. I was like, I got a lot more respect for Rangers because I didn't know what they did, for years.
Yeah, berserkers.
Yeah. And then, but then you like even the SF guys, like they cross train. That's what makes them so great. They're advanced and everything. But then you like think back to like my time I remember in what did we do? We cross trained everybody. We all hated radios, but you think it's a simple thing, but it's not because some of these other elite units don't get that cross training.
Yeah.
They stick in their lane, and then it's weird because you're like, oh, they should be training this, but they're not, and I think that's a big separation. I think with the Marine Corps infantry is one, we take pride in it. It's like our source of pride, but also like a bit of a downfall. Like, we're like, don't worry, we don't need new equipment. We can do everything with old stuff. It's like, man, it's all right. Like, it's okay.
Sometimes it's nice to have nice things, fellas.
Exactly. Sometimes it's okay to just spend a little bit.
You don't have to be proud to be poor all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. So, anyways, but yeah. So let's talk about strikers. I mean, I know the Army went to strikers and they're super high speed, and LAR. That mission, because it always kind of gets under the rug. Like, oh yeah, LAR. I forgot about LAR.
Oh yeah, even within the Marine Corps, people forget that it exists. Mm-hmm. That's just always been. I don't know how it is now, but it certainly was that way back then. I think General Mattis was our division commander that took us through that invasion, and I think he understood the value of LAR. So we were utilized very diversely, and we were utilized as far as being kind of upfront to punch through the conventional Iraqi army at that time. Yeah. And we were used to go up to Tikrit, which I forgot, it was a task force that we were put on that was just all LAR. And that was ran by a guy named John Kelly, who ended up being the chief of staff to the president later on. But John Kelly had been a LAR battalion commander in the early 90s. So he knew how to utilize LAR in a combat situation.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's crazy to hear. Like I said, I love hearing the stories of like the invasion, because it's like you just, there's so many of
people
them.
People will ask me about that. Like I'm like the same way I'll ask a Vietnam veteran about Way City. Like, man, I mean, I'm not that old, but okay.
Yeah, well, we're starting to get there.
I'm getting there, yeah.
I remember I was in the Guard. This is about 2018 before we went to Kuwait, And we're sitting there having beers. Obviously, we knew it was going to be a joke deployment, so we're just going through the motion of training before I left. And it was a headquarters element. It's division headquarters, so there were more majors and officers, like captains and majors, than there were enlisted specialists.
Yeah.
So I'm a sergeant going over, and it was crazy because we're just, there's a few older National Guard, Minnesota Guard did that long deployment. Like, yeah.
Dude, I remember that.
Yeah.
I got out right before they deployed. I remember me and one of my old guys in my platoon were another Minnesota guy. We were thinking about joining the Guard and going on that deployment, but we were like, we're civilians. Let's just relax. I remember when that unit went out, man, they got effed up.
They did. Yeah.
Horribly.
And then the extension, like I knew, because I was at division headquarters, a lot of those guys were squad leaders, and now they're sergeant majors. So this was 2018-ish, or they were sergeant first classes. So a lot of them were at division. That's kind of where you go where your career ends, but it's like you relax and you get out of the Guard.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there, and then obviously I'm a Marine combat vet in the same era, so we were always getting together, having beers with them, and we were sitting there telling like our war stories, and the young privates, they were like 17, 18 years old, and we always had our little huddle group because that's what you do when you're vets. You get together, tell stories, drink beer, and there's like all the like younger dudes started kind of circling around us in the squad bay, and we're like, all right, and then one sat down and just goes, "Hey, Sergeant, can you tell me about the war?" Like verbatim.
Yeah.
Can you
Grandpa, tell me about the war.
Yeah, he goes, "Can you tell me about the war?" We all started laughing.
All right, take a seat on my lap.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let me tell you what it was like,
Yeah.
12 years ago, which wasn't even that long. You think about it, it was like, now it's like even further. You're like, oh my God, that's been almost 20 years now, So, no, that's
a big reason why I don't. It's not because of humility or anything like that, but a big reason why I don't tell those stories. I mean, I'll talk about it if people ask, but it's just like, dude, that was a 20-year war. I met people that did 10 freaking deployments, and it's just like, there's no, I almost feel stupid bringing it up on my own because I know we know Medal of Honor recipients. I know, Rangers that did 10 deployments. The guys that I did the invasion with, they went and did Fallujah afterwards. It's just like, I had some hairy situations, but it's like, this is a 20-year conflict that there's a lot of, I have nothing unique to offer in the war story realm, And I think it's like when it happens to you, you kind of normalize it. So what's normal to you, you forget that, to a young person now, they may think that it's the most intriguing thing on earth, but it was just like, oh, that's what happened.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. I think I like hearing it because I looked up to your guys, like you're a few years older than me. So I'm like, oh my God, the invasion.
They did the
invasion, and I obviously served with guys that did invasion.
They fought guys in actual uniforms.
yeah, they fought them. Yeah. So it's always fun to hear. Well, in generalities, that's why I love doing the show because I do want to hear those because we don't talk about it all the time, but it's nice to be like, oh yeah, dude, what was it like? Because my experience was different than yours. It's like the fact that you went from infantry school to the war.
Yeah,
it's wild. That's a crazy.
There were some manning issues back in those days. Yeah, they had to get you out the door. Yeah.
Which
there was think about it. There was like 8 different wars that technically happened within that one war.
Oh yeah. I mean, even later on, we were hearing guys in the Syria, and then it's like, and that was like unheard. Like they kept it under the radar. But we were like even the Guard.
Our generation's Cambodia.
Yeah. It was. That's actually a great analogy. Because I'd be like in the talk in 2018, 19, and we kind of knew what was going on, but then but when I was in the National Guard but our general, the 2-star, was looking over that area. It's like we're activated, so now the National Guard 2-star general is looking over everything, right? And I'm like, yeah, they're in Syria, like then they're getting into firefights in Syria, like no one talks about it.
Remember,
it's wild. Like 2019,
I was doing one of those. It wasn't a USO, it's AFE. It's like USO, but it's government funded. It's ran by the Pentagon. But it was an AFE show. I was doing an AFE show in Kuwait around that time. And it was either right before the show or in the middle of the show. all these guys just showed up to the show. They were all sweaty. You could tell that they had just taken their flak jackets off because they had that sweat outline around their chest. And I'm like, where'd you guys come from? Like, oh, we were just in Syria. I'm like, what?
Yeah, what? What's going on? Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming to the show.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys don't want to go back to your rooms and hang out a little bit?
Yeah, well, and so was Jordan. I mean, Jordan wasn't, but they were crossing into, there's so it's like
I got to go there too.
Yeah, I was trying to go again. I was guard, so it was like, oh, I want to go, but we were.
Jordan's awesome.
I know.
I love that. I'm going. I want to go back just
in
on
generalities.
Pure vacation.
Oh, same. Yeah, I did a lot of traveling in my time after, and I don't regret any of it. And I don't have regrets by any means, but there's sometimes you look back and like, man, I did have a few extra bucks in my pocket. I should have went to like Jordan, or I could have, I did a lot. So I'm not like, man, I regret it, but it was definitely like, man, there's a few spots I probably could have swung. And that Jordan was always one I wanted to go.
Cool. Really, I got to go there 3 times for these shows, but they'd put us up in a nice hotel in Amman, 5-star, and then we'd have
amazing.
Amman, Jordan is a neat place that I want to go back and just experience with no work obligations.
Yeah, and that again, I think I did like your analogy. That's hilarious. That's Syria is our Cambodia.
Yeah, I
mean, which does, because there were guys I remember early on in 15 and 16, Marines were getting shot. And they were coming back, and they were like Marine infantry guys. And I was like, what are you talking about? This girl, she'd gotten out. And she's like, yeah, because she was former active Marines. She's like, yeah, my friend, he was infantry. He got a Purple Heart in Syria. But they didn't want to like acknowledge it. So he got his Purple Heart, but then his like DD-214. It was like in that was like a really gray area back then. It was like 2014, 15, that we were like, they were getting kinetic. The Marines were on the border. And it was just like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so wild to me, especially in this day and age. Obviously, they still do stuff like that, but I don't know. Anyway,
cat's out of the bag.
Cat's out of the bag.
Then.
Cat's out of the bag, especially nowadays. Yeah, cat's really out of the bag. But all right, cool. So you invaded Iraq and went to Baghdad.
I didn't invade Iraq. First Marine Division did. I was a PFC, just going with the flow.
I did what they told me to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was going up? Like, so you're getting into firefights, a little bit exciting. When did you get to Baghdad, or like what was that?
I think I don't know, 2, 3 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks into it, and then we because we were so mobile, they put us on that task force where we then punched up to Tikrit, which was Saddam's hometown, and we secured that area shortly after, and that's where we kind of stayed until. For the Marines, everything died down, and then we just sat around for a couple months and then went home.
Yeah. So were you there for the whole statue falling thing, or was that just like?
No, we had our own experiences with it because it was kind of happening all over. That was the icon. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. That was the one all over that made the news, but that was happening in every city, and we definitely witnessed destruction of Saddam imagery and everything like that.
What was that feeling like? You know what I mean? Like it feel, obviously we all know what happened after the invasion, but like those initial few weeks, you know what I mean? Like liberators, it's coming down, you gotta feel like, all right, we're kind of doing
We're liberators.
We're yeah, you're like, well,
let's go find those WMDs.
yeah. Like, all right, check in the box. Liberation, WMDs. Let's go find them,
I'm sure my superiors have thought they've thought this through. What's the next steps?
Exactly. Yeah, they know what's going on.
Oh, we're going to disband their military?
Yeah.
I feel like that's not a good idea.
We learned the lessons from Vietnam.
I'm only 19, but I feel like disbanding a sitting military is not a good idea.
Yeah. And then, so were you there when they did that, or was that like, I mean, like, so that first, like, what was that feeling like on that first, like, boom, we did it? Was there like a feeling that you guys had, like, yeah, we did it? They push up the Tikrit. You kind of chilling, like, dude, we desert stormed this bitch.
Yeah, that's what it was. We desert. I mean, it was 3 weeks instead of 3 days, but yes, we desert stormed the bitch.
Yeah.
Minimal casualties compared to what would come later. We had complete offensive superiority, and couple hairy situations here and there, but for the most part, it was an experience.
It was quite an experience. Yes.
Yeah, there was, you just people shooting. You get used to, like, it's war. You know how like another company will be engaged, and it's very loud and it feels close, but it's like they got it. We're going to stay in our sector over here. I'm not going to worry about that fire that's clearly going on just 100 meters away, you know?
Yeah. That's crazy. So then you guys had that, and then what'd you do? And again, this is I always like these small details. So you were just sitting there for a few months then after that, just like
a couple months. Yeah.
And did you have on 6-month rotations at that point, or was it?
No, I think our first Marine Division's job was to just get in there, take the place, and then the Army
Was gonna.
they were the occupying force, which they did. But obviously, a year later, the Marines were back and fully engaged.
So was that like the strategy when you were there? Like, is that what you were kind of told? Like, hey, we invaded the Marines. We did our shock troop job.
There was no use for us after.
Yeah, so the Marines are going to pull out.
Yep.
The Army's going to take things over. And
I don't think it was ever in the plans for Marines to stay there.
Really?
So once we were done with that, we were out, and then we all went back.
And then we all went back. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So then, so how long were you there in total then? For like 4 months, 3 months?
3 months.
3 months total.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that
Air Force deployment?
Dude, that's the best.
Yeah.
When you hear about the Rangers and the other guys, like I did 12. Like how long were those deployments? Like 3 months.
Sounds like they're pretty busy though. Yeah.
They are busy, but I'm always like, 3 months, that's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And then I always like doing that. You add it up. I'm like, they're like, yeah, it's like 20 months of combat. I was like, oh, that's cute. I have 24 months of combat.
Or the Army conventional
conventional
forces.
guys. Oh my God.
You did how long? 2 years. What?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the opposite. I'm like, Jesus. They're like, yeah, it's pretty much my enlistment. They do 3 years, and then they do.
Yeah,
like
if an Army
year.
guy from that period says they only did one deployment, it means could have been 2 years long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I was like, that sounds like a World War II deployment right there.
Yeah. Yep. No, 100%. Because then they like switch to the opposite direction. You go from like Rangers 3 months, or 101st. We did 18 months or some wild, crazy amount of time.
You heard stories about they were getting on the plane to literally take off and go home, and then they found out on the plane that they got extended, so they had to get off the plane and do another.
That's the Minnesota guys. That was Minnesota. That's right. Minnesota. Yeah. That's probably what. Yeah, because I talked to guys that were on that plane. In the Guard years later, they're like, we were on the plane, going home, and then we got off the plane. It jacked them up because the guys that then were killed.
Yeah.
They were on the plane with them. They were all buddies because it's the Guard. You're friends with your buddies.
Yeah. And you live near them.
You live here and you're going home.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I knew guys that you could tell they were still living with it. They like convinced their friends to go because some of them were getting out of the Guard. Like, dude,
you don't want to miss this.
You don't want to miss this. And they got on, and then they made it, and then they died on the extension. So it was like so a lot of guys and the VA stuff with the pills, like the Minnesota Guard guys, like I heard their stories.
They just loaded them up.
Dude, they just loaded them up. Guys would show up to Guard, once a month, and they were like, it's my bag of pills. Like dudes were walking like zombies. They were like out of their minds, like the whole gamut. They were like, they were not prepared for that. The VA system was not ready for especially the Minnesota VA. He's like, we just all came in and they were like, what the fuck?
I remember the Minnesota VA system in that exact time period, and I could talk a lot of shit. I'm going to assume they've gotten better.
Yeah, they've got, I mean, I'm here, so I don't do a ton with them, but they've gotten, the system in generalities has gotten way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were
when I came home in 2006 and I went into the Minneapolis VA, it was not a great experience for me, basically to where I never went back, and I rarely ever used the VA after that. It was such a fucking bad experience.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember going in 2009, and they were like, just go in and get your stuff registered. Like, they're going to deny you, and it's going to be terrible. I was like, oh, geez, okay.
Yeah.
But they're like, just get it on the books, because then whatever you do, they can backtrack. But you're in, you did your initial assessment. Yeah, I went in there, and I thought the woman wanted to get rid of me, like the whole time. So you walk in, and
I thought they want,
yeah. You're just like, you see all the other vets from like Nam, World War II. This was 20 years ago, so the World War II guys are still alive.
Right.
The Korea guys, Vietnam, and you're sitting there like, oh no, I guess I'm the GWAT guys coming in. And I remember she was just like, turn around, do this, do that.
Yeah.
Get out of here. And it was just like, all right, well, whatever. It was so, dude, yeah, it was.
I don't need you to kiss my ass, but just like put on a smile.
Put on a smile. Exactly.
It's like when you go to a restaurant, like, hey, just like smile at me and get my order in on time, and you're gonna get that 20%.
Exactly. That's what I do. Yeah, just do your job. You get your 20%. You know. But yeah, that's crazy. So then you get you guys were there for a few months. What was getting home, man? Like it's got to be an awesome feeling. Like I said, you're still riding the high of like liberators. Coming home. What was that like? Did you get home around like April? Was it March?
It would have been
June
June time frame. Yeah. And it was nice. Back then, nothing was computerized, so I took 30 days of leave, and it never actually was deducted. So. I remember I did 30 days of leave, and I came back here, and all my friends were in all the colleges around the Twin Cities, and I just got drunk and hung out, and then I went on a Mew basically shortly after I got back.
Yeah. So did they have you like scheduled for that Mew? I mean, like how many?
No,
months was it
I volunteered.
Just volunteered.
Yeah.
What was is it just like, hey, we're doing this? Because my buddy does the same thing. I said the early days were wild. He was like, yeah, I just volunteered. Like as soon as I got back, they were like, who wants to go back?
A lot of my reasoning was because I was like, whoa, we just did the war. And, a Mew, you get to go to like cool places like Thailand and stuff. Might as well go experience that, which I never got to go to Thailand, but yeah. No, we did typical Mew. We went back to Iraq for a brief period, but it was like a typical Mew, which was nice to have that experience.
So did you guys did you go to Iraq for combat, or did you guys go for like logistics stuff, or what was the
combat? It wasn't that. It was like a month.
Oh, okay. We were supplemental almost.
It was so the Mew commander could put it on their resume because that Mew had missed out on the invasion, and that was during that period before everything like kicked back up. So they wanted to. It was a resume thing for a Mew commander to say that he led troops in Iraq. Yeah. So we were in southern Iraq for the Brits.
Is that like still in 03 before like 04?
Yeah, that was
like right away.
That was like right away. Yeah, 03. And then I went back again briefly in 05 when things were now kind of crazy.
Really kicking off.
IED land,
Yeah. And how'd you end up? So where'd you go on that Mew then? Like,
Australia, Singapore, UAE. We were in UAE. I remember when we found out that Saddam was captured. I know a good portion went to Africa. Yeah, all over just typical Mew Westpac stuff. Got to go to Darwin, Australia, which is the way people imagine Australia. You know how like people imagine Texas. They imagine Midland, Texas. They don't think of Dallas or San Antonio, these really beautiful big cities. That's Darwin, That's where all the crocodiles and all the guys with the leather hats and the
good eye, mate.
The hardcore Australians, where the sun's trying to kill you.
Yeah. That's wild. I never did a Mew. Never again. I was a different. Even though we're the same era, I was like a different era of like just get me into combat and I'm done. Like I don't want Mews. I don't want Thailand. I don't want Philippines. Send me the combat or don't send me at all. Like that was but it was cool hearing from guys that did do the fun stuff or do the Australia or Thailand. Or Philippines.
It was nice. It was good to get that experience.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And then for that 05, how did that, you get pulled for that? Did you volunteer for that one? Or
no, that was planned. I think we were supposed to be in Iraq for longer than we were, but we happened to be in the area when that 05 tsunami hit Indonesia and the South Pacific there.
Okay.
That just wrecked that part. And we were already in Guam when that happened. So we were the first Americans to show up to do the humanitarian relief for that, which I saw more dead bodies there than I ever did in Iraq. It was so catastrophic what that tsunami did to the...
So were you guys on your way then? Was that another Mew and you were on your way?
We were on we were probably supposed to be going to Iraq to do a lot more Iraq, but that we ended up doing that for a couple months. And then we still went to Iraq for a couple months. And then it was, 6-7 months at that point into it. Then we were done. Yeah.
That's wild. That's crazy though, to do Guam for like the first bit of time and then be like, all right, we're switching over and we're going to Iraq. to go fight.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of
It's like humanitarian. Now we're gonna go get our war on. Like
We knocked out 2 major Marine Corps missions and 1 Westpac. That's for sure. War and humanitarian relief. Yeah.
So what was it like then going in? I mean, like that disaster in Guam area. Like when you went in, like was it like within days after it happened? And like
I think if I recall correctly, we were already in Guam. We were just doing that typical like refueling, thing, and then that's when it happened. And if I recall correctly, our ship got congressional approval. I think if a ship's going to travel at a certain speed, it has to get like special congressional approval, and our ship got that approval. And then we hightailed it to I think we went to Sumatra, and we hightailed it there to start airlifting food and MREs and then there was body cleanup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you on ground then? Like walking around? And...
I didn't actually. I was like stripping MREs and stuff because they're Muslim. So we had to take all like the pork products out of the MREs. Yeah. A lot of my platoon did. They went on the ground and did stuff. And I was not one of them. I just remember the ship pulling up off the coast and there was just like debris and bodies everywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
like just
it was
from
like
the ship, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, we were surrounded by it, just cows, stuff floating in the water. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's wild. That's how long you guys were there? You said a few
a couple months, I think.
Yeah. You never got off ship, or you just kind of hung out on ship then the whole time?
Yeah, I was. Okay, I personally was. I think another portion of the platoon, they were making runs and everything like that.
That's crazy.
I don't know how they. Yeah, yeah.
I've never done like the ship's life, so I don't know how that works. But
it's not as great if you're a Marine because your sole job in that ship is to just be transported around. So you don't have the same accommodations the Navy does, but it was nice at that time. It was a newer ship. So we had more space than the previous ship I had been on, which was built in like the 60s. So it was just like a flat wooden rack you'd sleep on.
Yeah.
Where we had, what's it called? You could put your clothes inside of your rack and stuff. We had more space for ourselves.
The little things.
It was the Bonhammer Shard, which RIP is that's the ship that was set on fire in the San Diego Harbor a few years back.
Really?
Yeah. It's no longer with us. Yeah.
We got a casualty.
Yeah.
That's wild. Dude, crazy then. All right, so you guys do that, and then you ship back over to Iraq. What areas were you in Iraq then, 05? Yeah, in what time frame in 05? Yeah, what months?
Winter.
Winter?
Yeah. We would have shown up, I think, January, February of 05, And we were in that. It was Army. It was Fob Falcon we were on, which was an Army base. So we were operating out of there, just doing the normal IED patrol shit, wait to get hit and all that, and then
in the LARs or in the
LAVs, and then
LAVs,
find an IED and wait on EOD to show up, and that whole rigmarole. Yeah.
So the Army, you get a little extra perks because it was an Army base.
It was very nice. I have no reference because I did the invasion, but I never did like the whole Ramadi. I never did like a Marine Corps fob, like in like the Ramadi or anything like that. So my only reference was this nice Army base. It was nice, yeah. But it's like typical Marine Corps fashion. We had to like walk around with all of our full gear on all the time. While the Army people were allowed to just walk around in like PT gear. I'm like, why are we doing this? Not only do you feel stupid, but you look stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why is the Army comfortable and we have to look like assholes walking around always kitted up on base?
Yeah. Oh, we gotta be ready. We're Marines. That's
ready. Exactly it. Yeah.
We have to separate ourselves for no reason.
That was it.
Like we know you're Marines.
Yeah.
Your uniform's different.
Your uniform's different. We know you guys are Marines.
Yeah. You guys are asshole at the chow hall about something.
Yeah.
We know you're Marines.
Yeah.
No, that's wild.
It's okay. You can walk around in your PTs if you want. Okay. No, this colonel says that we have to look hard all the time.
Yeah. Typical Marine Corps way.
Yeah.
So you did that for a few months, and then when did you end up returning?
Probably that summer.
Yeah.
Summer. I got back in spring or summer of 05, and then that last year in the Marine Corps was drunken blur. And then all the guys I came in with, we pretty much spent our last year in the Marine Corps just because our battalion deployed as a whole. So there was just a few of us short timers left on our own for a year. It's a drunken blur.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. I mean, again, that's like, you couldn't ask for a better, like, say you don't have a reference, but like, you know, other stories you hear, whatever. Like, I thought I was pretty fortunate, like when I did, you know, but like, that's like your time in seems like it's an awesome, you know, excited, like, oh, they deployed, but you have a year left, and then you came in with the guys that you know, or you were still with the guys that you came in with, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just like, we got a year to party.
That's what we did.
It's just awesome.
We we would show up to formation in sweats and flip flops, and they'd get a head count. And we'd go right back to our rooms and sleep it whatever hangover we had off. That wasn't like for the entire year, but that was a good chunk of it.
Chunk of it, yeah.
Yeah. We got to unwind a little bit. A lot of those guys came back from Fallujah too, right? And they were on like almost a year deployment, which was not normal for Marines. And so they were having to decompress themselves, and
and that's the thing too, is you get all those guys together, like no one's, you know, I've heard the old stories of that too, where guys were like just fly off the handle, or like you could kind of like, it was a new time of war, so it was like people knew to keep their distance, or if you messed with somebody that was coming back, like you got your ass chewed. Not everybody had gone quite yet.
Yeah.
So it was like this new like feeling. And I've heard about with other guys, you know, they're like, oh, hey, Marine. And they're like, they just got back from Fallujah. Shut the fuck up. You know, like that type of stuff. Like people kept their distance slightly, but it's still Marine Corps.
Yeah. It's weird. When I say we were kind of left on our own, we, for the most part, were left on our own. Like it was just a bunch of E5s and below running the show in absence of anybody with any significant rank around. It was,
That's awesome.
Interesting period. Yeah.
So in your lead up though, I mean, you got a year, which I think, you know, it's again, weird. I didn't have that experience. I got back, I extended. So I was 60 days and they're like, we got to get you out of here. So it was like a very rushed, but I did have buddies that did the year. It was, I think, a year and a half was like the cutoff. They try to get you on another one, but they end up, you know, they had their 8-9 months left, and they would start cycling you out.
That was us.
You know, that was us, yeah. And then, you know, start moving on. And so what was your, you know, going through your career now, Marine Corps? Thank you for your service.
My career, my 4 years.
Your 4 years.
Yeah. I thought we were going to come here and talk about my history show. I'm like, okay, I'll go down memory lane here.
Yeah, we will. I'm trying to compete with Marty, so I'm trying to keep it lively. Yeah. And that was, we, you know, so what is your life like? Hey, we got back 3 deployments. You're getting out. What's your plan? Because I know we've talked about this before. You wanted to be the next Ernest Hemingway, and went up, you know, like
naively.
Well, everybody. I want to be the next Michael Bay too.
Right.
Yeah. So what's your plan, and like how'd you move into like what you're doing now, which is like you're acting, you're writing, you're a creative storyteller. You know, how did that life begin coming out of the Marine Corps?
Yeah, it was an evolution. I didn't really have a plan when I got out of the Marines. I went to college, and then I got kicked out of college. And then that's when I started writing, because it'd been building up. I knew I needed, there was a catharsis to it. And that's when I started writing. And then that became a thing. And then that became a thing where I'm like, this is what I want to do for a living. And then, you know, over the years, I actually then started getting tiny little paychecks for it. Then I was able to do it full time. And then that evolved into making YouTube videos, and then a movie, and then now I was getting acting jobs and diverse writing jobs, and it evolved into then, okay, we need your help behind the camera. So I started producing stuff, and it was, I mean, this is over a period of 15 years I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first 4 years I was out of the military, those were kind of lost years for me in a lot of ways. I was working and going to college, but I just didn't know what I wanted to. There was no end goal for me until, you know, around 2009, 2010, I told myself, I want to be a writer. I want to make a living doing this.
What was the initial like degree that you wanted to, or like people go to college, like I need a degree, but what was the initial, like what was the degree you're trying to get? Or, you know, like say you got kicked out, like what were you initially trying to go
I was doing a general history degree
history.
with focus on Russian studies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What got you into the Russian studies?
I just had a cool professor that motivated the hell out of me, and it seemed interesting. It seemed like an interesting topic. I really latched on to like Romanov era stuff. That so I could talk about the Romanovs for a while. If you're, yeah.
Have you back on? Yeah.
Yeah. No, people too. They'll be like, oh, they'll like, oh, do you know any Russian? I'm like, no, I just was there for the history. I didn't bother with the language. God, dude, you know what's happening right now because it's the Marine Corps birthday? I'm just getting blown up. My
Same. I'll be like text messages. Yeah.
I am getting blown up by dudes right now. Yeah.
Same. Yeah. That's why. So you end up doing that. How long did you end up lasting then? And then before you were like, hey, they're like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Hey, veteran, get out of here.
Yeah, it's actually kind of how it happened. That was 2010. Where I was done with school, and then I fully committed to. I had no money, but I was like, I'm going to be a writer, and that's all I did. Way before I even ever got a paycheck for it, that's all I did every single day was write.
Did you say you worked the oil fields at one point?
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. When the money truly dried up, and I realized I needed to get a job, like a real job, I worked in the oil field, and I was able to. I was putting in 12, 14-hour days, and then I'd spend 4-5 hours writing, in my downtime, and then sleep and repeat. And that's what I did. Yeah. Oil field provided me some good money, though, to where I could.
Was that there in that boom then in North Dakota? Or was it North Dakota, or where'd you go?
No, I was in West Texas.
Oh, West Texas.
At that point, I was, shortly after I got out of the military, I moved down to Austin and then San Antonio. And then eventually I ended up in West Texas. One of my old Marine buddies, who I'm still very dear friends with him and his family to this day, was out in Midland, Texas.
Midland. I'm heading out to Midland.
What are you doing in Midland?
In February.
What are you doing in Midland?
Filming.
I know people. I know that town.
Yeah. Well, John, from Vet TV. Yeah. He's like, oh, still Jack, I say hi. And but we're heading out to Midland to do some filming with for our Battle Lab series, which is currently it's November.
What's the premise of the episode?
So, well, it's all about counter UAV tactics type stuff. So it's the series comes out. We're shooting for December.
Yeah,
probably soft launch December, hard launch January. So then go check out vettv.com and go check it out.
Dude, I don't know what your work schedule is there, but I can tell you all the places to eat that while you're out there.
Yeah, we'll have our nights off, but we stop filming around like 4:00 and then
great.
Yeah.
I know good people out there too to hang out with if you guys want to socialize with people outside of work.
Yeah. Well, good restaurants because because there's small. You know how it is, small man crew.
Yeah.
It's like me, 3 other guys, and I got to do DIT, but we do take time to have like a really good dinner. Like I'll get fat burgers. And,
you tell me when you're going out there, and I'll tell you the places you got to go and for what reasons you got to go there. Okay. This is the best steak. This is the best. If it's for convenience, you got to go to Rose's because it's the best quick Mexican food you're going to get in the area.
All right. That's good. Yeah, absolutely. I'll hit you up.
All right, good.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Whenever I find out someone's going to Midland, I'm like, hey,
Midland.
Let me give you the rundown.
Yeah, as of right now, it's Midland, and then there was one other. We had like 4 different locations, but Midland is
in West Texas.
No, it'll be. It was Midland, somewhere else in Texas. Can't remember.
Well, if you're going to be around San Antonio, to swing by.
Yeah, it won't be anywhere close. I know that. Or it's about 3.5 hour drive from San. Because we looked at flights. It's like, God, this sucks. Getting to Midland sucks. Like we're like, it's Dallas.
Expensive as shit.
Yeah, and it's like Dallas layover, San Antonio. Or they're like, well, what if we fly and drive? It's like, well, then it's a 3.5 hour, 4 hour drive. So then it's like you're not making up any time. It's highly inconvenient. Like it's like the worst spot.
Midland is not a great place to fly in and out of because you have all the oil field money there, and these big oil field companies, they're sending their people on these commercial flights back and forth to Houston and Dallas. That it's so expensive to fly in and out of what is not the nicest city in Texas.
Yeah, where I don't know what the connection is with the guys they're working with, but it's all tactics based type training. So
cool.
It's like,
Are you gonna be working with the cops out there at all?
No. Those is all guys out of like North Carolina and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we're coming out. We needed some place that was like counter UAV. Also, like the series itself is working on world, kind of current events, tactics. So like Southern Border Mission is one. We worked on Ukraine FPV type stuff. Like how do you work around the FPV problem? I mean, it's obviously a very big problem. So we did that with this first season. And then now we're doing the second season we shot last month was crisis evac, using drones, assisting with that. How do you and then also hidden strike, which is like, how do you get off drones quickly? How do you counter Op 4 coming in to hit your drone strike guy? All sorts of stuff like that. And then this is going to be like southern border type stuff. So whatever tactics that is, like I'm the director or whatever, but they're coming up with all the tactics and everything, and I film it and edit it. So yeah, we'll be in Midland February. So at least as of now. So, but yeah, a few alternatives. We were supposed to go to Hawaii, and then they're like, no to that budget. I'm like, oh man. So we're gonna do like Oahu for a week. I was like, oh yeah, my old stomping grounds.
Yeah.
But then it was like, nope, cut that budget. So that won't be for like another 2 or 3 rotation, like seasons, So maybe end of this year we might head out to Hawaii. But yeah. So anyways, so you were in Midland, Texas, and then doing the oil fields. I always assumed the North Dakota boom, because wasn't that the same time?
Yeah,
same time frame.
Yeah, that was a good period back then. I think I left that right before there was a downturn, and now it's popping off again. But I think I left that in 2013, and then shortly after there was a little bit of a downturn, and which is normal out there. If you're a career oil field person, like, you are prepared for it.
Yeah,
it's the guys that show up that are just there for the paycheck, and they get all that money, and then they blow all that money, and then they're getting laid off because there's going to be a downturn or a bust, and they're like, "Oh, what happened?" I'm like, you're supposed to save this, because this doesn't last forever."
So you were in Midland, and then how are you making good money? Because it's kind of a good thing. It's kind of like
decent money.
Me as a contractor going overseas, like that was really good money before I went to film school. It's
being
like,
single and
exactly.
It was pretty good money for. I had a cake job by the end of it, and I had plenty of time to write, and that's eventually when I was offered my first full-time creative job, and I had to make a decision. I'm like, do I want to keep making this real nice money doing something that I'm just here on the paycheck for, or do I take a 70% pay cut and go follow my dream? And that's what I did. Yeah.
As all creatives do.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's like, oh man, they offered me so much more than I was making at my job.
That doesn't happen.
That is like at all, It's like, oh dude, then they were like, we're going to pay you 30% more than the day job that you hate. Like,
I just recently got to the point where I'm now making more money than I did in the oil field, but I've been doing this professionally for 13 years, and I've just recently now am making more money than I did in the oil field. 13 years as a writer, actor, producer, and now I'm finally making comfortable wages.
Yeah. I mean, at least you're still doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's like, half of the battle.
Half the battle
is sticking it out.
Exactly. Yeah. Half the people are like, most people I know aren't even here anymore. They just, which I get. Like, I get it. Like, I got no qualms. People are like, I'm calling it. I need a real job, and I got a family.
It happens. Now. And I've watched on the acting side. I have watched some extreme guys that I looked up to as actors. They're like, I got to go get a real job, and it sucks to watch that too, because man, like you're way better at me than this.
I want to circle back to that point later on in our conversation, but I want to keep going with a little bit of your history before we jump into entertainment. So then, so you're writing. What was that first gig? What was the one that was like, this is it? I need to cut my teeth.
It was that was during the apparel boom. Of the early 2010s, and I went to go work for at that time it was like a real big player, and it was really one of the originators in the digital apparel world was Ranger Up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we were making YouTube videos and doing all sorts of stuff, blogging and
blogs.
Yeah, I was blogging. I was getting paid to blog, getting paid to make YouTube videos, do social media silliness. I made so many. Some of those memes you still see floating around to this day. I made those memes. I was making memes for a living, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then that, obviously we ended up making a movie,
Okay, so Ranger, it's always like going through this because I was contracting in these days. So it's like the entrepreneurship of veterans is pretty cool. Granted, once everybody tags on the one thing, I saw a million t-shirt companies, as we all did throughout those years. But then I remember hearing guys when I was in Kabul, because we got all this money. And they're like, oh, well, I'm going to do ATM machines. I'm doing t-shirts. I'm doing, me, I was like, I want to be a filmmaker. I'm going back,
Which is not conventional.
It's not conventional. Yeah. I was like the outlier. Like, oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Good
luck with that, bud.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah. And then there's like all these, apartment complex, real estate investing, car wash, just all that type of stuff. And so what was that like then in that early days? Cause you were in it. Cause I Ranger Up all those companies. I wasn't in the, I was, the brovet sphere or whatever you want to call it. But
I've never considered myself that at all. Do I look that like I'm one of those guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that sphere, which is totally, and not at that time, it was not derogatory.
No, I understand the nickname.
But it was cool seeing those guys doing. I always lived in the peripheral until I dove in, when we started working together in 2020. I've always, it was just always cool to be like, oh, that's cool. They're making all that stuff, and then you see more and more, and each gets on their personalities. So, what was that like in those first years? Like I said, Ranger Up. It seems like it's like a fast paced.
It was the Wild West.
YouTube media. Yeah. Everyone's making fun of YouTube. Like bigger old school.
It
media.
Wasn't cool to be doing cool. YouTube stuff back then.
That. Yep. And even by the way, even looking at, because everybody keeps thinking this, it's like Bitcoin. Oh, I should have did it back in 2010.
Right.
No one knew how to do it. It never looked like it was. The access wasn't as easy. That's for Bitcoin. But like YouTube, it's like there was no, you weren't making the monetization. You were like in the early days. The views were not like the way they were. Like this formatting of things, like it was completely different.
You had to actually have like people with real production experience to make those videos for if you wanted them to be good. Where now it's like access to cameras and lighting equipment and sound equipment. Like the barrier to entry is a lot lower now. Back then, you had to have people around that knew what they were doing.
Yeah. What's the technology side? It's like 5D Mark IIIs, 5D Mark II Canons, from the closest you get to cinema. But then cinema costs too much money. And this was that early transition into digital. I love talking about this because it's like it goes into the culture. You're right. Like now there's a high school kid that can do better work than both of us. You know what I mean? That because he lived on YouTube, but it's a different technology sphere that he grows up with. He can rent things for $500 that'll do what you need to do now, or $1,000. Whereas back then, you weren't. This is the way things look, the way things are lit, LEDs to tongue.
We didn't give a we did not value sound the way that we do now. Yeah, I look back on some of those videos like, ooh, that is sounds gross.
No one does. They're like, oh yeah, it's on the camera.
Yeah,
we're good. Yeah.
We just got this little shotgun mic. We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Like, dude, I've seen some of those old videos. Like, oof.
Yeah. It's like, can we get an ND filter? No, we'll just do a higher frame rate or so. Shutter speed. And you're like, oh my god, this looks rough.
There was, it was raw.
Yeah, it was raw, and it is funny when we see all the old YouTube videos. They're like, the sound is horrific because people are just talking it into cameras and they have like the worst sound.
Didn't bother taking that, but again, it's a lot easier to get a little mic and pop it on now and connect it to your camera. Yep. But like back then, that was an extra step that could be difficult.
Well, even that it's not like what it is now. I have an old Sennheiser from like 20. I bought it. But like the wireless mics. Yeah. Who was buying $500 mics, wireless mics, to then run into their XLR and then XLR into an SD card, an SD card into their computer for a YouTube video.
Right.
No one was doing it.
And since you weren't monetized the way you are now, that was a lot harder to afford good stuff. We were selling the t-shirts so we could afford to have some level of production value.
Like not enough to be like, you're like, oh my God, these guys are the next Hollywood,
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's always cool hearing about that era because I looked at from afar. I still was always like, oh, that's pretty cool. I can't wait to get into it. I was doing my life thing, until 2014, I went to film school. But up until 14, I just always liked watching from a distance. Like I said, Matt Best, I remember seeing him, and like he was throwing his stuff out, and then talking with him later on and be like, he was like still contracting. Yeah, I was like, oh, you're still. He's like, yeah. He's like, everyone was still working
for him.
Yeah, it was like part time.
Jared was still in the Air Force.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you want to be an entertainment entrepreneur, join the Air Force, because apparently the Air Force just lets you take time off and build businesses. I don't know how many companies not just Jared, so many Air Force guys that I was like, oh, how did you? Yeah, I started. I was in the military. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, what branch? Air Force. Yeah, it got so big that they just started giving me time off to work on I was like, are you serious? They're like, yeah. They're starting like big companies, and they're like, yeah, the Air Force just kind of like let me have some time off so I could work on my.
Jared was a TACP, which is such a segregated and isolated community within the Air Force that they could definitely get away with doing. They had a little more autonomy for Jared to be like, oh, I'm just gonna punch out for a couple weeks, and then whoever was in charge of him like, cool, man.
Yeah. But other not even tech piece, I ran into like logistics dudes.
Oh,
like,
really?
They just started like an amazing business. They're like, yeah, and I finally just got out because I was making so much money off my business. That, I'm like, oh my god, like this is wild. I was like, I couldn't even. My family would come to town. And I couldn't even get leave for like a Friday.
Right.
Like,
hey, my child is being born. I'm like, dude, we're going out to the field. Why did you have to knock her up at the time you did?
It's like, well, can you like make half of it? It's like, oh my God, you got to make up for it on the back end, or something like that. Anyways, so that's wild. So you were part of that, like you said, Wild West era.
It was. It was Wild West.
Yeah.
There was no algorithm. What you posted showed up directly into people's feeds as soon as you posted it. Mm-hmm. The term viral back then, you really could go viral. It wasn't controlled the way it is now, or it's like if you posted something and it took off, which was an advantage back then. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It feels like, does it feel, because you're part of the YouTube community, obviously you have your own show, Jack History.
Yeah. This is the first time that I'm actually doing YouTube for myself on my own as my own project. I've always just been on a team, really.
Yeah. But I mean, even same with me. Like I started this year as well with this podcast, learning the ins and outs. You really don't know something until you do it, which is like learning the ins and outs.
Right.
Like, oh, this is how we do Google ads or marketing or promotions but things are so much different from when they were back then. How does it feel? Because it feels like the community, like YouTube, it feels like it was a smaller community. And I'm not saying it because it was, wouldn't say easier to go viral, but does it feel different from like now? Because there's so much content. I mean, like the new time or when it was newer, less content, but it's also less eyes.
Yep.
But getting noticed was maybe a little easier, or what do you feel?
Definitely.
About that?
There was less. There was less people that you were fighting for airtime with. Mm-hmm. Where now it's just like I do a history show. There's no shortage of history shows, and I watch them. They're great. I love them. But there's no shortage of history shows, which if I had started this 10 years ago, I would have had a complete advantage because it just wasn't a thing. If you had a great idea for a history show, you were going to pitch it to a network. Where now, you can self-produce those kind of things now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it seems like it's just a completely, I mean, it is obviously a different landscape. Like even me, starting this podcast, you starting your show, Jack History, and even Marty, was like, hey, I'm doing, subject matter expert. And I'm like, yeah, man, like, dude, go for it. Yeah. Like I was like, go for it. I'm death that way. It's just like, you have to have that mentality. It's like, yeah, there's maybe 1 million of them out there, but how many keep going? How do you do? What do you do to put your effort into it?
I've talked to Marty a lot about this, and this is just as applicable to you. Our advantage is not, none of us, we know people that have big brand names that if they create something, people are going to watch it, right? I don't have that advantage going into this.
Yeah,
what I do have, the advantage I do have is I've worked in creative environments for over a decade now. I know what it takes to meet deadlines. I know what it takes to be consistent. I know what it takes to research, shoot, and edit an episode in a timely manner and be consistent and stick things out, because a lot of people go into entertainment, the arts, social media, whatever you want to classify. They go in it with the intention of they just think it's going to pop off because they're so great. I have been humbled so many effing times the last 15 years, knowing that it doesn't work like that. You have to show up and stick shit out before it's real. At least for me personally, I've never blown up, and I've had great opportunities, but I've never personally been an overnight sensation. I'm a character actor. I play supporting roles. I'm behind the camera for indie documentaries. I'm not part of projects that I've never as a person been a draw, but I know how to frickin' work and I know what it takes to make things. That's the biggest advantage that we have. We know the professional side of it, and we haven't set up ridiculous expectations for ourselves that, oh, I'm going to blow up overnight because I'm so great. No, in order to make anything good, the Joe Rogan podcast. Joe Rogan podcasted early on when it wasn't cool to podcast. He didn't become a household name until like 3 or 4 years ago. He was doing that for a decade when it was just him and his comedian buddies and comedy aficionados before he started getting like the big guests and all that, right? He just stuck this thing out.
And even I remember when he was popping off, I was in film school. It still was like, oh, what's this Joe Rogan thing going on? You know,
I know that he's a comedian.
Yeah, you can a comedian. Like, oh, the guy for me, I know him from
News Radio.
News Radio, but also Fear Factor.
Fear Factor.
But I was like, oh, I was a kid watching him on News Radio.
Yeah,
you know, and I remember seeing him in some documentaries because he was all about weed. So I was like, oh, like the weed guy, you know, as well. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the advantage that we have is one, we know production, we know the professionalism. I'm just like you. It's the same way. Like I don't have a big name. I'm starting from zero. I don't have a following in any sense of the word.
But you know what needs to be done.
Exactly. I know how I pipeline consistency. Because even my wife, she's just like, how long you do this? I was like, at least 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like podcast is committed to 5 years. Because how many people... You know, I'm not saying anybody's particular, but I've seen it with someone in our atmosphere, but I've also like just in general on YouTube, how many people started it because they were somewhat of a name and then they stopped.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, yeah, you know how much effort goes into it? You know, it's like, you can't translate like one social media vertical to YouTube.
Yeah.
Believe me, I do it all the time with guests, which is fine. I do. And you also have to approach it. I do what I want to do. I want to talk to Jack because I want to talk to Jack. You know, I want to talk to this person because I want to talk to this person because I've already learned, and I've known this before, but some episodes go wild, some don't. That's just the name of the game.
Yeah.
Just do the job.
And the things that you
do the job.
Yeah, do the job. Show up, do the work.
Do the job.
Yeah.
You know? And
that's it. It's that simple.
It's that simple. And some things will hit, obviously, like production, your editing, it takes time and effort, you know? And I think, you know, some people have looked at it and because we do this, I'm like, oh, I don't know if it's that good. And I've had other, you know, at least I get that positivity from other people like, oh my God, dude, it looks great. I'm like, you sure?
It's a good show.
I was like, you sure? I'm kind of adjust the lighting. I don't know. It looks kind of campy. And everyone's like, no. I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
You know, like, I think it looks like crap, but I think I can work it, you know? So it is nice to have people that look on the outside. And then sometimes I look at it and be like, yeah, this is because again, when you're doing something, it doesn't feel professional or it doesn't feel like, you know, you look at somebody from the outside, like that's a professional. But when you are that person, you're like, man, they put their shoes on the same way.
Everybody's going through their own doubts.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that professional that you're looking at probably wakes up and be like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
You know, like, but we look at it other people, you know, so every time I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, I think I'm doing this the right way. You know, and whatnot. But no, I agree with you. You got to show up every day. You work hard, edit, know your workflow, you know, and you got to stick it out
and understand if it doesn't pop off the way you want it to, you still have to show up the next week. You still have to show up to work and keep doing your job.
Yep. And I've had guests on that I wanted to do, and I'm like, okay, this one will do well. This one will do well because they have 950,000 active YouTube subscribers. Because typically that does a little translate. It did well. Had other ones, again, guys that came on with no following, and that went to 100,000.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
They may have some niche level of knowledge that people want to hear about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And so, again, you just do it to do it and have fun with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think the other thing, too, is not only have fun with it, but you got to put the effort into it, you know, because sometimes they're like, oh, I'm just doing it for fun. And I've seen that. And I've seen guys do it for like 7 years. And then they're like, dude, you got to like step up your game,
right?
You know, because then it's like you have less than 1,000 subs, which is, you know, fine if you're starting out, but it's like if you're doing, you need to set those goals and progress. You know, you don't want to do this for 10 years and have 500,000 or 500 subscribers and be like, yeah, man, we need to have a conversation here. You know, like
I have a partner in what I'm doing. Creatively, I know how to set those goals. Creatively, I know how to set expectations and grow. But I'm new to the whole entrepreneurial thing, right? And so he's my partner in this. That's where he fills in those gaps, and he's made me think differently and set not creative goals, but business goals. How we're going to monetize this and make money off of it and grow it and do different types of content and make more money, right? I feel like I know how to make a good show, but he knows how to like do business, and it's good to have that.
Yeah. And you always need it. And like, you know, I always like the saying, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with the team.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's very true.
It's called show business for a reason. It's not show fun.
Yeah, exactly. And I it's, you know, it's funny going to film school because we're talking about education before we started the episode. And it was great going to film school for the technical learning, but very few people from that film school have even made a living. You know, a few made it a few years, a few a little longer than that, but then it's like, what is your career? Like, you know, like I am I would say filmmaker, kind of covers everything, but I am a creative director, cinematographer. That is my title. Yeah. You know, that's what my life is.
Well, and the thing is, like, you went one of the best possible routes you could. A lot of these guys probably moved out to LA and tried. That is a tough place to get your in, especially if you're a cinematographer. That's your goal. Yeah, you are going up against some of the best in the world out there.
Or a film director. That's still my pie in the sky.
Right.
Which gets closer if you setting your goals realistically to get your way up the mountain.
Going the indie route is the best way to go. Like I've been around the LA scene, people, actors, all sorts of creatives. They are obsessed with being in this pipeline, which is great. If you can get your in out there, good for you. But like, we live in a world now where if you have a little business sense, a little moxie, a little entrepreneurial spirit, you can fund whatever you want to make and make money off of it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
And you're in a great place. Like you're working with, you know, Vet TV is an indie company, but it's a real production company that makes solid products and makes money, and you can get a paycheck from it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's it's a streaming service, you know. So we're like, awesome, it's generating our revenue that we need to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And even before then, like I had to think business wise because you know it's like a family. So you're like, I need to make this. These are the clients I need to go after, and you need to expand the business. And do I add on to this? It's always like the freelance jack of all trades. And I started outgrowing it a bit. And I'm like, oh man, and that's a tough world to be in because now you're hiring other people and you're doing, you know, every budgets have gotten smaller, but your share of the pie almost got bigger. You know, it's like that jack of all trades thing. And, you know, like, the budgets are smaller, but we can do this with 4 guys instead of 15.
Yeah.
You got to work harder? Yes. But are we making more money? Yes, we are. Is it more stressful? You know, so it's all a trade-off, you know, and you got to know how to do audio, got to know how to do lighting, got to know how to ask the interview. What's the story? Edit, you know? But yeah, you just gotta know a lot of those. But yeah, I agree. I think it's. I
operate just fine with a skeleton crew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I almost prefer. I take it back. It depends on what a skeleton crew is to some people. I bet 20 is a skeleton crew for some. You know?
You're right. I think of a skeleton crew as conservatively 4 to 6.
Yeah.
But man, I've gotten some good shit accomplished with 2 or 3 people.
Same. Yep. I was like, just give me a PA and like a gaffer or a PA and a fellow cinematographer. Yeah. And I can get a lot done.
But I'm a shooter who knows how to do sound, lighting, and you know, the shooting part. So we've already knocked off an important part of this budget, just me being able to do all this myself.
Yeah. So was your we'll backtrack a little bit. So you broke out or Ranger Up. That's when you made the leap. And you guys ended up making that first film, Range 15. What year was that officially in play? I started getting my years wrong. Was that like 2013, 14 era? Like when you guys did, and there's the GoFundMe. Yeah. And then there was because there's the crowdfund. Yeah. And that was when we filmed it. And then there was like when it was actually released.
It was released in 2016. We filmed it in 2015.
Okay.
We started our collaboration with Jared and Matt and Vince and in 2014.
Okay.
So it was really like 2
years,
3 years in the making. Yeah.
Yeah.
Started with Jared, as it always does. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, I remember this in 14, but then I was like, it didn't come out till 6. So like my mind is like, I remember
Matt and Jared were making the video, and Vance were making the videos around those times. They were starting to pop off, and we were doing our thing. But yeah, the movie came out in 2016.
Yeah, how was that?
Was cool.
that your first big or your first film?
It was not a normal way for you to have your first film experience. And I didn't realize it at the time. Now looking back and having worked in like traditional television and other indie sets, it's like that was really weird for that to be my first day on set. I was doing a scene with William Shatner. That's not normal.
It's not normal.
That's not normal. And it's not normal for your first movie of like, oh yeah, we got a $1.5 million budget. Like that's not normal for you doing your first movie. And he just, looking back on it, I was like, wow, that, I don't know if I'll ever be a part of something like that again. And, we were a bunch of ex-military dudes, so we didn't come in with a lot of the expectations that I think other industry people would as far as how that set was supposed to run. And we were, all movie making is, whether you're doing a documentary or a feature-length script or whatever, all filmmaking is just putting out fires and problem solving, right? You have a good plan, but like combat, that plan will go to shit real fast. You got to figure, that's all it is, right? And because of experiences that we had all had, we were able to calmly problem solve our way through obstacles.
What was like some of the problems? Again, it's been a while, but I always like hearing the stories from the set because I want to direct and all that stuff. And
behind the scenes,
it's always so much fun. So what was like the day to day of Range 15? But what was your day to day? What were some of the problems that you guys like problem solve fixed? Because like normal sets are like, okay, yeah, let's figure that out. But you said you guys are, I won't say inexperienced, but you got William Shatner showing up. You have Keith David showing up. And you have all Sean Astin shows
Danny
up.
Trejo.
Danny Trejo like showing up, and it's like
there's some other good character actors. Yeah,
exactly. So what was the kind of like your day to day challenges like? Getting to this, getting the camera rolling and recording.
Yeah. Oh, there was last second cast members that had to drop out. We had to get them replaced real fast. There was budget, like we were new to it, so we didn't anticipate how much the crafty budget was going to eat into our budget. That was a lesson learned right there. We paid for a lot of food. Man, there was toxic crew members that we had to fire and replace within a short amount of time. Basically our stunt guy was causing us more headaches than giving us value. So we got rid of him and basically brought in buddies who were MMA fighters and that knew how to could consult on stunt work.
Yeah.
It was always something, right? Your time constraints, going over on time, and now that's gonna eat into your budget.
So was your crew like, because it's like you guys are the actor and crew, but
producers,
but were your crew like, I won't say legit, but were they like non-union, like camera operate both? Okay,
yeah.
So it's like, because I know there's probably people like this will be cool. Then there's like, guys like us that are now be like, okay, these guys got 1.5 million. Gather my guys up and we'll shoot, but these are our day rates. This is how we, et cetera.
For the grips, right? These were all guys that they were good, solid dudes, but it's so hard to get into that union in LA. So this was a good opportunity for them to get their resume so they could get into the union side of things. So like we had to motivate. Another thing, right, that I took for granted that I didn't realize till later, you don't always get that. We had a motivated professional crew. There were a couple people that were toxic, and we got rid of them right away. But the majority of people that were there were on board for the mission. And when you're making a movie, that fucking matters. It's like if you're running a sports team and you have a couple of people that don't want to be there, it's going to infect the locker room, and you're not going to get the most out of your players, and you're not going to be a winning team. It's the same thing with making a movie, man. You got to build the right team, and you got to have people that they want to be there, not just for the paycheck, but they believe in the project. The majority of people we had around us on and off camera believed in the project.
That's awesome.
And that was our advantage.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was a fun set where it's like I did a normal, TV, cable television show a year after that. And it's just everyone's there because, they're there to get their actors, crew members, whatever. They're there to get their check and leave. Where we had people that were like motivated about the whole thing.
That's cool. How big was the crew? Like your day to day when you guys walked on set?
I would say it was certainly roughly 100 people.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a big
for
day.
an indie set.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big indie set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were a lot of them getting paid? Was it like volunteer? Because I know sometimes in the veteran world they're like, "Hey, show up," and people are like, "All right, cool,"
Crew absolutely were getting paid.
Yeah.
Good rates, good non-union rates.
I should say extras. The extra,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't, as the producer actors, me, Nick, Matt, Jared, we never actually took any money up front for it. We had points on the back end, but we never actually took a check as actors. But we paid other actors, and we had some big names. And
Yeah. You had them for how many hours? I imagine they came in for like.
William Shatner gave us his discount rate because he likes veterans and he wanted to help out and be a part of it. But even for the 6 hours we had him, it was a good chunk of dough. But it's nice to be able to put William Shatner on your movie poster.
Yeah, exactly.
People are going to be like, "Oh, these guys are for real."
Yeah. Well, especially back in that day, that's like I said, that's the early indie digital cinema. Kind of, like, oh my God, we can, it's like you hit it
These
just
YouTubers,
right.
these YouTubers got William Shatner.
Yeah. Like and I remember Range 15, I've heard about in other circles with film distributors. They always turn to like Range 15 as like, oh, that was successful. And then they would get other films to come on. Didn't work out so well for the other, like the distributor side, but I remember the name Range 15 because it was successful. To an extent, like people like knew it. It was crowdfunded.
We weren't the first successful crowdfund. We were the first successful crowdfund that were a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah.
Other actors, A-list actors were starting to crowdfund at that time, but they had name.
I remember somebody got like $10 million crowdfunded once. It
was the Super Trooper guys or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. It was like they used it to
We had a hardcore freaking cult audience that were willing to buy in when we said we were going to do a movie. And so we got money to make the movie. And there were so many, to this day, even when I'm doing a short 40-minute doc that I'm working on with a crew of 3 or 4, I still take lessons I learned from Range 15 when I approach certain things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. So then you guys are, what was it like working with like Shatner and Keith David and all them and Danny Trejo?
Day one, I was with William Shatner, and it was even going back to, when I served in the military, I was just like, I'm just here to do what I'm told. This is all so much. This is very overwhelming for me. So I'll just stay quiet until you tell me to do something. I had one scene with Shatner that was fun, and he was offset. But yeah, Keith David's a super talented. He's a very talented actor, and I had some dialogue with him. So that was, again, it was, dude, now that I'm thinking about it, it was similar to when I was a little baby PFC invading Iraq. I was just like, what am I doing here? I don't know what's going on. Yeah, that's the best way for me to explain it. Yeah, Danny Trejo was great. I think he had picked up his kids from soccer practice and came straight to set. So he showed up with like his kids, and they were in their soccer uniforms. And he's like 72 years old, and he's got like an 8-year-old kid. He was a really nice guy. He took pictures with everybody. He kicked my balls. The scene was, he was supposed to, they put this contraption inside my pants to where he could kick me in the nuts, but it would like stop his foot, but it would still look like he was kicking me in the balls, where he somehow missed the contraption and actually kicked me in the balls. So when you see me keel over, in the movie after Danny Trejo kicks me in the balls, that was real. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah, it's somewhere floating around Amazon. God knows what other streaming services it's on. Yeah,
That's awesome. I mean, it's cool to hear, especially from those guys. Like, again, it's just thinking back in the day, like, oh, they got Keith David, they got William Shatner, they got,
it was nuts.
It was nuts. Yeah.
It again, after my experience at this point, that was so freakishly abnormal what we did. It just wasn't normal.
Yeah.
And I recognize that now.
And so then how long was the actual shoot? You guys like 2-3 weeks? What was
Principal was 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
No, yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks of principal. We did some pickup shots and other shit later on, but yeah, core filming was 2 weeks.
That's awesome. So then
for 92 page script.
yeah, that's cruising.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But I later on when I started doing vet TV shows, and we were pumping out 6 episode scripted shows in a 2 week period. And I think,
they still do. Like we still do
Yeah.
that. Yeah. It's funny because I come on as like an actual school trained cinematographer, tech, done a bunch of commercial work.
Yeah.
And then I haven't touched any of those sets yet. Like John is like, we need to get you like at least in the atmosphere of our sets, because they shoot out in San Diego or
Yeah.
LA, and I'm here in Minnesota, and I'm in charge of the unscripted documentary
Right.
set. So I have a whole division, or vertical / division I'm heading, but then there's like the stuff that I really, really want to do, which is
scripted.
like scripted.
yeah, and they have a hard schedule.
Yeah, and they go. He's like, they're ripping out. It was like 2 to 3 weeks. They rip out 6 episodes.
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah,
which is an incredible pace. And doing Range 15, then when we went and did those vet TV sets, it was like it wasn't anything abnormal to me. And then when I actually did like actual union show stuff, that's where it's just like, oh, this moves a lot slower than other things I've been involved with.
what was your experience with that? Why does it move slower? Just curious, like just in your own observation.
Just more bureaucracy. It's just more bureaucracy. There's more moving parts where if you're on an indie set, you've got half the size of the crew and I don't know, it's just a different mentality when you're working on a vet TV set as opposed to a Warner Brothers set. Vet TV sets are people that are there because they want to be there. Where, more often than not on a, some network show, it's like people are there for the paycheck.
Because I always think of myself, every time I get more people on a set, I'm like, we're going to move so much faster today.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a balance.
On the balance. Yeah. Depending on what you're doing. But yeah, that's always like when I've worked with like Dream Seeker.
You can't have one of the actors also doing hair and makeup.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to have that hair and makeup, that dedicated hair and makeup person. But on an indie set, it's like, okay, if you were to go to a standard set, you might have 3 or 4 people in hair and makeup, where on a vet TV set, I don't want to speak for vet TV, but just my experiences, it's like, no, you're going to have 1, maybe 2 dedicated hair and makeup people. You're just cutting the necessary pieces, and you're cutting the size of it off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what was your experience then? You said you work, like you're doing that. And how long in post you guys were doing? What was post-production then? A year? Or like what was the challenges of getting it to distribution? Because you're a producer on this too. You're just an actor, so you're writer, producer, actor.
Of the 5 or 6 executive producers, I was on the lowest one on the totem pole. But yes, I was still involved. Yes.
Yeah. What was the post-production process?
Man, I mean, we as actors had to go back to ADR stuff. But yeah, at that point, then you start getting into the distribution conversations. And so we were setting up at that time, we still were going to do DVD and Blu-ray, and then getting everything set up with Apple TV and Amazon, and we did a 400 theater locations, if I'm not mistaken.
Really, 400?
Yeah, because there was this. I think it was. I don't know who found it, but it wasn't me. But they found this new thing called Tug, which I don't think they exist anymore. But basically, if you were an indie filmmaker, you could get 1, 2, 3 off showings of your film in Regals and AMCs and stuff like that. So we were in Regals and AMCs all throughout the country.
Really?
For like, 3 showings.
3 showings, yeah. But it's enough to be like, there's the poster. You could get at least a few showings in a theater. Yeah.
But it was almost.
Which is a big deal back in the day. Like that's a big deal.
Dude,
Like,
I thought this would just go on to like, oh yeah, sure, we'll go on to Amazon or something like that, and maybe sell DVDs because that still mattered back then. No, we opened up in 400 theaters, across the country.
Yeah, that's not a thing. Well, especially post-COVID, that's not a. I don't. Well, maybe it is now. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe.
Unfortunately, that
pre-COVID, not so much, but now we're in a weird space. Now.
It's unfortunately a dying way to.
I know. It's so sad too because it was still going before COVID. Like people, like I went to the theater. My wife saw the movies. Like it wasn't on the downturn, but it's definitely like people were like, the movies need to start getting better. But it was still a good run. I mean, the 2019 run, like leading up to COVID, was a pretty good film year. But yeah, it's super unfortunate because now it is just big blockbusters and. That's it. You know, again, we can get into this here later, but yeah. So you guys did the distribution. You got into 400 theaters. How well did it do? Do you remember the numbers at all, or did you guys make anything off it? Or
we did.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't like some crazy profit, but we made our money back.
Yeah. 1.5 mil.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a little sliver of a stake in it, and. It was nice.
Yeah.
What'd
you blow it on?
Oh man, at that time, I didn't invest it wisely. I can tell you that.
None of us invested anything.
But I also wasn't getting paid a lot back then, so it probably went to like bills and necessary things.
Yeah, you're like, oh, now I can pay my credit card off.
That's pretty much where my head was at that time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't even have like. I'd been a little worker bee my entire life. This is the first time I just got like a single large check, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to pay taxes on this.
Yeah. So then going from there, you said you worked on some other indie stuff within like the actual Hollywood system. What is that? You said you've talked about.
Well, Vet TV.
Yeah, Vet TV. Well, yeah, Vet TV. I'm saying it's like the union going in.
I did like 3 or 4 lines for like a sci-fi show, and then stuff like that, like. Cable network television for like, I wasn't going on The Office or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, what's that life like? Because you're rubbing shoulders with all those actors too. Because you were kind of talking about that in the beginning of the show a little bit of that type of society, like those like trying to make it in Hollywood, and people in that system.
Oh yeah.
What's that like? I mean, like I said, you've kind of briefly touched it, but we've talked about the positives of how we're making our way through in the creative side, but like I have also had Kerry Kite on. He was one of my first guests and a good friend. Air Force thing, Full Sail, went to LA and was like,
did the LA thing,
our era. So like, like we're all about the same age, and he was like, I'm going to LA. I'm going to be a director. He actually pitched to Jennifer Lawrence at one point, like in Full Sail. The whole thing. You're like, this is it. We're on our way. You know. And he did it, and he's just like, I hate it. I hated every minute of it.
Yeah.
He went out to New York, became successful in New York, and now he's still doing well as their own marketing agency. But he was like, that was just, it sucks. Like it's a weird path. They're all trying to do films, but it's. Yeah,
you're rarely having a genuine conversation.
Yeah,
with
he said
anybody.
Everyone's like fake. It's
very fake. I've always been a commuter, so anything I've ever done in LA, I was there for that job, and I was going back to Texas or North Carolina. Right, I was going back to normal people. I have met what I loved about my experience on Vet TV sets is. I don't know if it was done intentionally by how they were casting back then. But definitely the actors I was working with were like really cool, down to earth people. I think Rachel Allig, specifically, I did a show with her, and that's a woman who's constantly working, and you've seen her on all the commercials and everything like that. And but she was like, she'd been doing the LA thing for 20 years, and such a good mentor and kind person. But then, yes, on the flip side, I've also met the whole, like, right off the bat, you can tell this person is like not being a real person with me. They are putting on an act, even though we're not rolling right now. And that's why I could never live out in Los Angeles and live in that world and constantly seeking validation from casting agents and the whole LA networking thing where it's just, every conversation and you're just sizing people up to see what you can get from them. You're never really genuinely asking, or you're never genuinely being asked questions about yourself. It's all just to get something from you. You sense it when you're out there. You see it when you're out there. It's not everybody, but there's enough of them to where it just grinds you down. Even me, who never lived out there, man, I've been on enough sets out there. You know when you're having an interaction with one of those people. But for the most part, everyone's cooling down to her.
Yeah. So what do you think then is, I don't want to say like your friend, like how she's making a living off of it, successful. What do you think separates her from everyone else? Just out of your own curiosity, because they're like, everyone wants to be the next, Glenn Powell now,
Right.
Tom Cruise.
Movie
or
stars
whatever.
are dying anyways.
They're dying
that should not
already.
be your objective.
Exactly. But there's still that remnants in Hollywood. Everyone's, it's that.
It attracts those people.
It does. Yeah. And then,
But those guys who all are actual leading men, they're not like that. They're like, as much as you can be, well-rounded individuals who what's his name? The guy who plays Captain America. I read a great article with him when he was trying to make it in the industry, and all of his friends wanted to go out to these parties because these producers would be there, and they spent all this time networking. He spent his time at home becoming a better actor and training and learning scripts, and he spent his time not living the lifestyle but doing the work.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. You have to approach it that way.
Yeah, because I was curious about that, because it's also too, you feel like it's hard work. It was like, it's hard work. You look at the successful people, but then there's always, not saying they're not successful, but the people that just were like, dude, there's only so many slots.
Right.
And you feel like it's luck at that same point.
Dude,
and at least for the big time.
I know my place in this whole world that I'm in. I'm not being hired to be a cool guy. I'm not being hired to play a leading man, awesome guy character. I get hired to be a certain type of character. Yeah. And I'm okay with that. Yeah. If I can get a little paycheck off of it and show up to a fun set and have a good time, I'm in. But I we all have our roles, right? And a lot of it's based off of our physical appearance. And I'm meant to play a certain type of character.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky I haven't had to do a lot of auditioning because I already look the part, and somebody can vouch for me like, oh yeah, he's a decent enough actor. He can be this guy.
So what's been your favorite beyond Range 15, favorite part that you've played that you've acted in that you're like, that was a great performance, pushed me. I appreciate, you know what I mean? You're proud of the performance, pushed you, good experience.
Range 15 was only a great experience because of the experience. I don't think that was a very special character that I played. I'd say my favorite character I ever played was on a Vet TV project. And it wasn't one of their more popular shows, but I really liked the script, and I liked the set atmosphere, and I liked the character I got to play named Meryl Kowalski. It was on a show called The Shop, and it was just a great set with great coworkers on and off camera, and it was during a great period of my life, and I really liked the character because he was a turd. And I like playing turds. But what I liked about the character is he was a turd in a lot of ways. But when it actually came down to truly doing the right thing, when it really mattered, he always did the right thing. That's what I liked about that character. He'd fudge numbers on a PFT score, but he wouldn't allow someone to be hurt.
Yeah.
He was a liar, but he wasn't... He was a liar for his own benefit, but when he would see other people being harmed, he stood up for them. That's what I liked about that character.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But he was a piece of shit, and it was fun. Yeah, he was a loser.
Yeah. How about outside the Vet TV sphere, indie sets, anything like that?
I played. I don't. Maybe they've released. I don't know if they've even released it yet. But I did a little indie film a year or two ago where I played similar. That he was a piece of shit. He managed. He wasn't even the owner. He managed a porno shop, and he was like a scumbag type of guy. But when he was put in a situation where he needed to do the right thing, he did the right thing. But he was also like a loser type. I don't even remember the name of that character, but I like playing that character because it reminded me a lot of Meryl Kowalski. Yeah.
That's great, man. So how often do you think you get tapped then for parts and stuff like that? Because you're also a writer. You're doing
post-COVID for any film and television. It hasn't been a lot post-COVID. But I'm still acting in the sense that sketch comedy, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm still showing up to, man, sometimes I get to really dress up and be all sorts of different array of characters, but it's for 5 minute or sometimes 10 minute or less things.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, that's awesome. You play your character, you said a character actor.
I always have something to do as far as being on camera.
Yeah.
It's just, you wouldn't call it TV or film.
TV film, the film aspect of things or whatever. Yeah. Because I think I remember you telling me about that character. I think it was about 2 years ago or so. You were flying out. Is it in Washington State or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because you went and you're like, I got this part I'm playing.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah.
It was a really fun experience. It was just some guys up there that they do a lot of work up there, but they decided to do their own thing and they funded it. And that was really fun. I don't know if they released it yet or not.
Yeah. So what's your opinion then? I'm excited. I always like talking to you. Like, you've done the stuff. You're a film guy, actor, character actor, gone through the ringers, like YouTube. Like, I feel like we're all in that same space. You know? Like, neither because Joey, good friend, he comes from, which is actually really cool. He comes from Hollywood production.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So like,
he does the stuff
that
we
look at.
You've
like,
watched.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was like, at one point, he was like, "Hey man, if you want to come down," he was working on the Will Smith movie. He's like, "Can you just hang out in a scissor lift with like a 10K and just make sure it doesn't fall?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, I was busy at the time. I was doing another project, but that had gone so over budget. He's like, "Dude, this is supposed to like Will Smith's Oscar movie." It was the one he was a slave that escapes. I can't remember what it was called. It came out like 2 or 3 years ago.
Emancipation?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Or Emancipated
or something like that. And they were filming it, and it went way over budget. It was all this stuff. Apple TV bought it, and he works like in the industry. Now he does do some YouTube stuff every once in a while, but he was like productions, like he's discovered like all these channels. Like, oh, cool. And then the crew they come on was awesome because they were like reality TV or they were working on CSI New York, and their perspectives were really cool because they were like us, but to that next elevated, like, yeah, we work on TV shows. It's great. I love the craft, blah, 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 blah. Have you seen, but also COVID and then industry is completely shrunk and or, budgeting and all that stuff. I mean, have you seen that on your side of the house? Like you said, your character actors or indie films, like what's that atmosphere like? Like, people are tapping you to do indie films, but is there as many as you think there are used to be, or productions have, like, you have friends in the industry, like what are they saying on, because all I've heard is like, dude, there's no work coming out of big Hollywood. Other stuff is
starting to shrink for sure. I'm in a weird bubble because the system that we've created, we can always find stuff to be making and somehow monetizing it. I don't know if I could give an educated answer on that because it would all be from my perception and all people I know. Like, I'm supposed to be working on something with Joey here coming up. Now, maybe for Joey, who's used to working in the standard LA system, maybe it's getting harder on that end, but I'm so far removed from that indie stuff, there's no better time to be indie producer. This is like the most democratic era we've ever lived in as far as anybody can make a film.
Yeah.
Like anybody really. Yeah. You just have to have enough grit to get that thing funded, put together the production and see it through to the finish line, and then think about how you're going to make money off of it. This is the greatest time for anybody off the street to make something.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you 100% on that. I think the tough part is the monetization part, which has always been an issue. But dude, I always feel like, well, here's my take on it. Earlier days, like when people talk about the 90s, those were different eras. And I always feel like that was a funnel or pipeline. You know what I mean? Like, now you can go make whatever you want. And the quality is great, right? But there's so much saturation that if you make a $3 million film, if you would have done that back in say 1990s, 2000, no, you know, we weren't there, but I know what you mean. But I feel like,
but you can make something great, dude.
oh yeah, you can,
and you do docs, bro.
Yeah,
bro. You can make a good doc.
Oh yeah,
for
I agree.
15, 20 grand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you know, if you toss that up on YouTube, and that thing gets 5 or 6 million views, you're getting your money back.
Mm-hmm. Monetization. Yeah.
And it's not because I had this conversation with a guy the other day. He was an LA guy, but he was like a young filmmaker. And it's just like, I didn't tell him what he wanted to hear. And I live in a different world. He lives in that LA scene. I'm not in that scene, but he's like an independent documentary guy, but he's very young and new to it. And I told him, like, dude, give it to people for free. Put it up on YouTube and give it to them for free. The money will come if you monetize it, if you like set the monetization stuff right. Mm-hmm. And if it's good and people are going to watch it, you're going to have viewers, which means you're going to make money off of it.
Yeah.
And they're going to be more aware of your work. And now you have leverage to show Netflix that you can make good stuff. Mm-hmm. If you want to go get, something greenlit by Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you have to say about that? I mean, like to be young and like everything, you're like, oh man.
He's in that LA world where, to him, the ultimate career achievement is to be picked up by, like Netflix or an Amazon original or something like that, where it's just like, you can make what you want to make and make it profitable, like simply by making it free and putting it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. People don't want to hear that.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I think that's a good segue into what we're going to talk about now. Jacked History.
Oh, Jacked History.
Jacked History.
Yeah.
You now have a new series you created on YouTube.
Yeah.
Jacked History.
I've released feature-length docs on YouTube that made money.
Mm-hmm. War Pigs, right?
Yeah, War Pigs. Yeah, I'm very proud of that. That money didn't go to me. I was working for another company, but yeah.
but it made money. But I agree with you. I mean, I've talked with the editors now. Believe me, we know a lot about War Pigs and some of you guys behind the scenes and all that. No, I agree with you. YouTube is, I don't want to say the next frontier, but I feel like it is definitely a frontier.
Yeah.
It's starting to be recognized more legitimately, ironically, after all this time.
Yeah.
But the production values and everything, the information, it's so much to consume. And I always tell people, because again, I'm speaking from experience, I started a YouTube podcast in 2025.
Yeah.
YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of eyes to go around. And that's only US and Europe based. There's always India. You look at all these markets, and so that's why I always like talking with fellow YouTubers on like, what are you doing? What works? What's not working? Yeah. And you have a history channel. And I also love watching those history docs, not only yours, but like the scary. I watch. I don't know if you know Scary Interesting.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Great channel.
Yeah, and I'm not doing docs on this.
No. His is a little longer form than yours, but but you have like Johnny Harris. Like I talked to I was like, dude, Johnny Harris just won an Emmy.
Yeah.
And he's like, he went next. It was like, I think it was for CNN. I think he did some work for CNN. He goes, I'm a YouTuber. And he is. He's like, but he's a great editor.
That's not going to be the derogatory thing in the future that it maybe was 10 years ago.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
This is the same shift like when television started becoming a thing in the late 40s, early 50s. Mm-hmm. It was considered like if you were an actor who did television, you were like dirt. Like real actors do movies and Broadway. Mm-hmm. And if you're an actor doing a TV show, oh yeah, they're just doing their weird little TV thing. That's what YouTube is now, right? It's just it's the same transition that they went through in the late, like post World War II. That they may look down on us, but this is the future.
Mm-hmm. They were still doing that the TV stuff well into 90s and 2000s. When people in 2000s it really started. I mean, it was in the 90s as well, but like you hear about they're like, oh, well, they offer me How I Met Your Mother, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not doing TV. It was like I can't remember his name.
Too good for TV
because I'm doing films now, early 2000, mid 2000, during that super height of films. And now it's like streaming. You're like, oh my God, well, this is streaming. Well, guess where everyone wants to be now? Streaming pays. Well, now it's different because now streamings aren't doing
A-listers are doing. They're hawking shitty products on commercials now, which they would have never done back in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything changes.
Yeah, everything changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, even they're doing podcasts now. I mean, you're starting to see like people go on major, like not even major ones. It's like, well, some are major, but now you're starting to see them talk on smaller ones. Granted, you're just like, oh, he was on this podcast. I know which one that is. You're like, wow, all right, and then they're kind of slowly coming into the like, all right, yeah, we're going to start using YouTube and podcasts as a realm to do this with. Anyways, you started Jacked History. Why did you start the channel, and what's been your experience doing that? And why'd you do it in this atmosphere? This like YouTube oversaturated. Why do you think? Why?
I was encouraged by Eli and Cody and Nick and Brandon over at and Jake Watson over at Unsubscribed Podcast. I went onto their show as a guest, and I did a couple shows where they kind of like really almost like borderline bullied me into it. And then I was like, okay, I'll do it. Yeah. And then I read the comment sections, which I don't do often, but I read the comment section, and all their fans were encouraging me. I'm like, okay, I could do something with this. I have a lot of years and experience in making things, but I've never made anything for myself, my own program. So that's what I did. I started, my first episode came out January 3rd, 2025. We're less than a year into it, and I feel like it's grown pretty well. I think I'm around 45,000 subscribers on it.
More than me now. He's passed me up.
Yeah, man, it's just applying the same things I've learned and known for years as far as getting stuff made. I'm just doing it with my own voice, and it's a history show. I'm not trying to change the world with it. It's I'm not a historian. I'm an entertainer who loves history. So I'm trying to make an entertaining show that delves into diverse topics: ancient Greece, Vietnam War, Salem witch trials, the history of Halloween. I just did an episode on the Gaspee affair, which was kind of a pre-revolution event in Rhode Island that led up to the American Revolution that a lot of people don't know about.
Okay.
Yeah, we know about the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah.
Just not far away in Rhode Island, they were going way crazier than those Boston people were, and we never hear about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. How do you? Okay, so then what is? They bowled you into it. What made you finally say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set this up, but I'm going to do this. I don't want to say the right way, but there's a difference between being calculated and setting this up and winging it, setting it up. Like when people ask me about like, I was thinking about this for almost a year and a half, 2 years, being like, I'm going to do this. I'm setting a deadline, but I'm making sure this studio gets into play, like the lights and, everything like that.
Yeah.
Was there something that you were like, okay, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to, because we've worked in the industry or within this realm. Is there anything that you were like, I want to make sure I have this, and this lined up before I pull the trigger?
Yeah. I mean, that's just experience. Like, and I've still been learning along the way in a lot of ways, but yeah, there was, I wanted to create a good system as far as research, writing, filming and editing, having a set date that is going to come out every week, which we've stuck to. We've made the lighting better. We've made we've evolved the quality of production and and then I LLC'd and everything like that. So it's a business, it's a brand, and I knew what we needed as far as what I couldn't bring to the table. So we have good shooters and even thumbnails. I got a thumbnail guy that makes all the difference on just getting people to click on what you have is just having a solid thumbnail. So yeah. And I know a lot of like big YouTubers. Yeah. I've never considered myself a YouTuber. I'm just a guy that's ended up on YouTube because I've been helping out with YouTubers, but now I'm a YouTuber technically, but I know a lot of big YouTubers that they they swear by the thumbnails. So I got a thumbnail guy.
No, I agree. I think some of my bigger hits, the thumbnail, just everything just happened to line up because I put effort into it. I do it myself.
Yeah.
But I'm like, sometimes I'm like, this one's going to do well. You know, it's like the one I did with, with Brent Tucker. He was the tier 1 Delta operator. My biggest viral clip that's gone.
I met him.
Yeah. And
he's been over to the house.
Yeah. And he was like, it's like that thumbnail I made in like 30 minutes. I'm like, this is a banger thumbnail. Like I just looked at it. I'm like, this one's gonna hit.
I gave him one of my paintings. I gotta get you one of my paintings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do paintings.
How
for
did Brent
fun.
Tucker get one already? Before
He was at the house. It was. I could just hand it to him. I'm like, you got room in your luggage. Here you go.
What was he in town for? What was he?
He's Jared knows everybody.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That's
and
true.
I'm just around when they're there.
I was gonna say, I think I know Valhalla or Nick. I think his name Nick Coach. I was trying to get Valhalla VFT on. But I know
I met him too.
Yeah.
He's been over to the house.
He was doing what you guys were doing, like the Travis Pastrana Land or whatever. I know he was there.
I've never been to Pastrana Land.
Oh, okay.
I'm never invited for those things.
Oh, okay.
They don't invite me for the sports stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if Brent was there for that, but I know Nick. I was texting him up, and then he's just skyrocketed through the drama cells. That's all I can say. Drama cells, especially within the special operations.
I know. I had that discussion with him because he was giving me YouTube tips. Yeah. But I told him, I'm like, I don't have the nerves to rile people. I don't have the nerves to like be controversial. I don't have the nerves to I don't have it in me. Like, and trust me, I see people on the internet all the time that I think are shitbags and I can't stand. For me, it's just like, I'm just not going to consume it. Yeah. But he's like, I'm going to call this motherfucker out, which is fine. Like, I just don't have the nerves to do something. Like I'm Minnesota. I don't want to, I don't want to be confrontational. I don't want to be in disputes with people. Even if I don't like them, I'll just keep my distance.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is I agree. As like, there's different routes, like your route, like the Jacked History. I'm like, man, I'd love to do that. Like, but you also got to do what you love. And I love doing the show. I love talking with you. Yeah. I do have a few, but again, this is before Vet TV hired me a few months ago. So I was on my way to being like, all right, I'm going to start doing little tiny, kind of like Jack History, but like almost like Scary Interesting would be like describing a story, having an animator animate them. And I still want to, but now my bandwidth is like 0, and so it's like pick and choose your battles. I love talking with people. I love having this. Like, it honestly gives you a good excuse to like, hey, why don't you come on the show? So some people that like you would never talk to in your life, that'll be like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'll come on. Like, that's a cool, and it just gives an excuse. Like, that's what I love. Yeah. And also too, it's like, yeah, man, like let's do a show.
I'm in town.
In town. Let's do
Marine
a show.
Corp Birthday.
Yeah, even before then, I was like, I'm gonna fly you up. I'd be like, okay, like, yeah, let's do it. Or Marty, I'm like, Marty, I'm paying for your plane ticket. It's because if I was like, I'm paying for your plane ticket, my wife would be like, what are you doing? Just flying people in to hang out with them, But now I'm like, yeah, I do a show with them.
Well, you gotta get the guests here. Nobody wants to watch a guy on Zoom.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to watch a guy on Zoom. They want to see 2 people in person.
Exactly. Well, Eli told me that. In fact, Eli, before we were talking about who was, kind of not bullying us, but I was on the phone with Eli before I started all this.
Those guys have been so encouraging.
Oh, very encouraging. He was great. He was like, dude, he goes, I said, I'm starting. I'm setting everything up. Just wanted to get your advice on some stuff, just kind of like talking when I could get a hold of him, once in a while, he'll call me, like, oh, got to have an hour conversation with Eli. Cause he'll talk for like an hour. And I was talking to him and I was like, I want to start this. I'm thinking about doing video call because then he's like, no, he goes, unless you absolutely have to do it in person. He's like, build the studio, fly him in, I was like, okay, doing it. And that did it work? I was saying it's working, but it's like, it does give you an elevation of when I contact people, and there's nothing wrong. Cause I know Marty does, I think that you can start playing with it, but in my advice to people starting, do it in person and then sprinkle in video calls as you can, because that does help the repetition.
Yeah, if it's the president of the United States, I guess.
Zoom call.
I'll do the Zoom call if that's what you want to do. You're a big enough brand name.
Yeah. Because there's a few people that I'm starting to contact. I'm like, well, I could probably do a Zoom call. You know what I mean? Like they're someone I would love to talk to. Would I have them out here? Yeah, but they're insane. Their schedules are fucking wild, So, but all right. So you're doing Jacked History. So what's your, you got your pipeline set up. How do you find the stories and what seriously, like I watch these things. I'm like, look at things. I'm like, I'm gonna do a subject on that. You know, like,
Yeah.
well, that's a cool guest. I'm gonna contact them. How do you find the subject matter and the history to be like, yep, I'm gonna spend time, because again, as we know, it takes time to research, write, edit, shoot, post to get that one subject off.
Some of it's stuff that I've kind of known about and researched heavily for years that I was just primed to do something on it, that I've already thought the jokes through, and I've in a lot of ways already worked out that material for years. Some of it's stuff that I'm researching one thing and I see a blurb about this and I look into this. I'm like, this is a great show right here. And a lot of it's stuff I'd never heard of before, like the Gatsby thing. I've heard of it, but I never knew anything about it. So I had fun researching and writing it in the moment. But there's other things, like there's Russian history things. I'm like, if I'm talking about the Romanovs, I've already dived deep into that for decades. It really depends. Right now I watched a great series on Netflix about President James Garfield's assassination. And they made mention of this kind of this hippie community that existed up in New York. They made a brief mention of it in the show, but for me, it's just like, oh, that seems interesting. There was like a hippie community in the 1880s, in the 1870s. I want to learn about that. Like a free love, free sex community up in upstate New York, right? I'm like, that's a good history show right there. I want to learn more about that. Just stuff like that. Yeah. I've known about the Salem witch trials, but I happened to be in Boston and overhear a tour guide talking to another group talking about all the cats and dogs that went on trial. So immediately I had to look more into that. I'm a big sports fan. So I've known Ted Williams' story for years. Ted Williams, the baseball player / fighter pilot Marine. I've known that story for years. And so I just did an episode on Ted Williams because I think that's a really fascinating thing. People don't like sports stories. I keep trying to force them through. They don't do well. They just don't do well. I always do baseball. That's why. I'm a 42-year-old white guy from the Midwest. I take for granted that a 25-year-old may not enjoy baseball like I do.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's hilarious. That's awesome.
There's some generational things there. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. We talk about the history. There is they've made the show. You watch American Primeval or American?
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
So, and I kind of remember that because I started learning this when I started working at Black Rifle when they were out at Utah, like all the Mormon stuff, you know?
Oh, yeah,
and then just happened to like listen.
Mormons did some freaking gnarly. They're not the happy-go-lucky people they make themselves out to be.
I remember hearing, I don't know if you've done this yet. It was a presidential election issue. The Mormons.
Oh, with Smith, yeah.
Yeah. Like it was like a going to war. Like the federal government was at war with the Mormons. Yeah. It was imagine watching the presidential debate and they're Joseph Smith. They're like, oh, we got to take care of this Mormon problem. Dude, and it's like, wait a minute, what?
People forget Joseph Smith was actually. I doubt he would have became president, but he was like weirdly pulling in numbers when he was running for president. It was a thing.
But you never heard about it until like the last year. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Joseph Smith was running for president when he got assassinated, and you can only imagine there's conspiracy that can pop up, theories that can pop up from that.
Well, it was like even American Primeval, they talked about the massacre that the Mormons were essentially behind it or whatever that I can't remember what it was called, but
it was not good to be a non-Mormon trying to make your way out west through Mormon territory during that time. It didn't matter if you were an Indian. It didn't matter if you were a white Anglo. It didn't matter if you were an ex-slave. It didn't matter who you were. They were going to F you up. They were brutal.
Yeah, which is again, that's what I loved about, like, again, here we are talking about YouTube, consumerism. People click on that. You know, that's like a thing, we're talking about it right now, but like, all the history that you're doing, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, there's room for you to grow your channel and there's people watching it and it's like that, What's been your best performing, like that you didn't, did you expect something to be like, oh yeah, that did hit, of course that hit, or is it like, oh, I didn't think that one was
it's never what you want. Yeah. It's never what you pour your heart into. It's never those things in anything, comedy, whatever. The best one that I've had is I did an episode about shortly after World War One. They went back and they revoked over 900 medals of honor because when the medal was first created, there wasn't a lot of rules on it, so that they gave some of those medals of honor out for really stupid reasons. Like the people in Lincoln's funeral guard all got a medal of honor.
Yeah. Okay.
There was a group of Civil War soldiers who they extended for like 3 months to be in one more battle because they needed bodies. So they all gave them medals of honor just for extending.
It's like admin stuff. Yeah.
It's just like bullshit reasons. So there was a committee that essentially revoked over 900 medals of honor. And that's a good thumbnail, right? 900 medals of honor revoked. People will click on that. Yeah.
That one banged.
That's the best singular episode that I've had. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I haven't had anything cross 1 million yet, but
that's a big number.
It's been steady. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's because I've been spoiled because I've actually made other things that have crossed 1 million. Just never for my thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think my best performing, I didn't know this till the other day when I was talking with Dave, and he was like, you got 706,000 views. I was like, what? I was like, because I hadn't looked at it in a while. And that just keeps crawling up. And I'm like, and it banged for the first week. I think it crossed 500 in the first week.
I've never had that. I've never had that. Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. I am not you know what I mean? Like, and then it's like, cool, next episode, I got about 500 views.
Right.
I
know. And that's the thing is when I've had a couple that have crossed into the 6 figures, I've been doing this long enough where I got to remind myself, like, you better not be disappointed next week, bud.
Yeah.
This doesn't necessarily mean this is going to be a game changer. This was a good thing that got more subscribers and created more awareness of what you're doing. That doesn't mean you're going to be able to maintain this. So don't get your hopes up, pal.
And it's like everything's a different category. So I like talking with you because you're a very specific category. Like Jacked History is a history channel doing fun stuff.
Yeah.
People know your content. I think that's the challenge for me as a podcast show host is that I have had 2 very viral episodes, but it doesn't draw in a very consistent subscriber base because each episode can be different.
Diverse guests.
Yeah, diverse. Like, so like, obviously I'm very veteran heavy, but I'm trying to do more and more. But, that's our community. We know that. No popular veterans that'll get you, some more views, but they're just, it's like, cool, let's have you on, It's just, we know that community. And so that's what I obviously have on heavily now, but I'm trying to shift more into, hey, let's grab these very other people that I would love to talk to. But yeah, it does feel like I don't have like, and even within the podcast, if you say in a very niche, like, oh, Army Ranger podcast, that does great because all they do is Army Rangers or special operations. They do, so their fan base, I feel like is a little more consistent. Whereas mine, I just feel like I'm all over the place a little bit. And it does come to the point where like, hey, I'm doing this because I love to do it. Whether one episode bangs or one doesn't, these are the people I want to talk to. And that's what you're here for. And I still feel like my audience is still trying to find that. Like I said,
I don't stick to one history topic. And everybody loves World War II history and all that. And if I just did that, I think maybe I would get more viewers, but like, I'm going to do what interests me. Yeah. If something happened in Africa in the 19th century and it interests me, I'm going to do a show about it. I don't want to just do,
the one cool thing or like the one.
Yeah. Everybody knows the big World War II names and, but I want to bounce around.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I think for me, that's my, like, cause I had those shows and everyone's like, oh man, you really gained. I was like, not really. Like, like I didn't gain 20,000 subscribers overnight or something, you know what I mean? And that's like, it's just been a slow roll and then it gets, sometimes people are more interested, sometimes they're not,
I'm at a period right now where the subscribers are not coming in at a fast rate.
Yeah.
But
it is what it is.
There were some times where I would get 5,000 in 1 week. So whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 100%. No, I agree with you. I think that's when people talk about starting a YouTube channel, it's still that mentality of just like, oh, well, it's a YouTube channel. I can do that. They do it in their basement.
You gotta do the work.
You got to do the work.
Yeah.
Like it's still a lot of work, this is still fun. This is still work. And you got to set up that pipeline. So you know, when you were when you were establishing that pipeline, like what did you front load it all a few episodes? Or you're like, okay, here's the first few that we're going to hit, get this thing rolling and commit. Like, what was your commitment thing? Like, we're doing this.
It's come out at 9 a.m. Every Friday morning.
Cause you're weekly, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since it started. I did front load. That's because at that time we were getting into the groove of our editing pace and all that. So I knew this, again, experience. I knew that I needed to give myself a buffer so we could get a sense of what our work pace was. Mm-hmm. Now we're in a good work pace. I mean, in theory, I can research, write, shoot, and edit an episode and have it done within 48 hours if I wanted to. Mm-hmm. Where, you know, at the beginning we were getting into our groove. So yeah, it was a slower process and there was a little fear like, hey, can we get one a week out? Mm-hmm. Now I'm very confident. Yeah. I'm tight right now. I'm busy too. My bandwidth is shot right now, but I know I will have that episode out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that. That happened to me the last episode. It was like I had 3 people cancel, you know, like just coming in, one getting my local guy, like, happen. And I was like, all right, I guess we're doing a best of episode. Yeah. It's got to come out tomorrow. Yep.
And little tricks. It's tricks like that.
Yeah. But that's the thing is, it did well on my Spotify. It did well actually on YouTube. Not super well, but you know what I mean. It's like, oh yeah, it's got a few hundred views on YouTube. It's got over 1,000 or getting close to 1,000 on Spotify. Like, all right, man, it's moving. You know, and people are like, well, those numbers, like, well, yeah, but you understand, like, Spotify is another animal compared to YouTube. You know, like my Spotify is very consistent and it's very high percentage. Very, you know, I don't know if you run on Spotify as well, but
we do. That was done by Dave Reardon. Yeah, he put me up on. He took the initiative to do that. Dude, but because my episodes only average about 15 minutes in length, I can't get. I'm hitting 2 of the 3 check marks I need to get monetized on Spotify.
Oh, you're tough because of the
15 minutes does not give me.
It does. I'm in your boat. I need 10,000 hours within 30 days, and I can't. I got super close. I got like 8,500, and that was my viral, Brent Tucker viral on, and even on Spotify, it was like 15,000 plays at like 4 hours. I can't get that last one. And maybe if I did 4 a month, I might be able to get close. But I mean, unless I have like a real banger that comes out or 2 bangers in a row, because once I get that, then it's like, cool. But regardless of the monetization on Spotify, the numbers on Spotify are really good for advertisers because you are like, you go to that, the ratios compared. Now, granted, YouTube's bigger, blah, 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 blah. But you look at your Spotify, people are going to Spotify because they want to listen to you. Yeah. Now, you might not be monetized, but I guarantee your audience on Spotify is pretty damn good with ratios, percentage.
I've never even advertised it, and evidently it does pretty well. And I've never even told anybody I'm on Spotify.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, you're consistent every week, so that means you're getting out there. Your history show, I'm sure it's under history genre, which goes with like the killer podcasts and you know what I mean? Like all those fun true crimes, I'm sure it gets lumped in, which is awesome, you know, or history. And that's going to move, you know? Yeah. So again, these are all, I think when people start talking about this stuff, it's like, this is the business side beyond creative where you try to make sure you can then monetize what you're doing to make sure you can keep doing it. Dude, weekly, man, that's ballsy. I mean, it's great. That's awesome. I mean, I commend you for that.
And as I get more bandwidth, the episodes will get longer. And
what would you say in your plan then in 5 years, 3 to 5 years for Jacked History? Like you said, you're making goals, I mean, man. Like what do
5 years?
You know.
Well, I'd like to be doing much longer stuff. I'd like to 5 years. I'd like to have my own, as far as what I want to be making, coffee table books, all sorts of cool stuff that comes along with it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, think you would ever do like super long form then, like 2 hours, 3 hours?
Oh yeah. I just, again, I have a full-time job where I'm making things all day. Yeah. So this is the Jacked History thing is still like a side thing.
Side gig. Yeah.
So I just need to find the bandwidth to, 30-minute episodes, 40-minute episodes, 50, 60. Okay. That is on my 5-year plan thing that I worked out is I want to be making independent documentaries, not just history stuff, but in general.
Generalities. Yeah. I think it's a good so you're almost saying like because I'm with you in the same way. I'm like, okay, what's the goals here? You got to think bigger than just the show. Yeah. You know, especially like what we do with work. So you're kind of thinking about developing it. So it's a jumping, I don't say jumping off platform, but it's definitely a good base to get out. If you're making your own documentaries and films, you have a subscriber base that is saying, yes, let's put it up here for free, or we can advertise it to push it out to make money, or to just in general. Like, so if you're making your own documentaries, would it live on Jacked History? You're saying like to help make a platform to push it off into Amazon.
Oh shit. I mean, again, 5-year plan. Why not have my own platform that, I'm doing stuff off of.
Yeah. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
So what was your I don't know if I asked this yet. Your favorite episode then? Your favorite one that you did, even if it sucked. What's your favorite one? You're like, I love that one.
Oh man. As far as guy did an episode on named Tom Crean. I almost wish I could go back because I became so obsessed with him after I did the episode. I learned even more about him. I wish I could just do like a better episode on him because he's such an interesting character. And then a baseball player named Mo Berg. Yeah, those are my favorite as far as like the topic, the kind of individuals I was covering. Yeah.
Anything come? I'm gonna say this because I want to clip this. What's history on Thanksgiving and Christmas? You guys got one coming up?
I'm trying not to do holiday specific stuff.
Really?
Yeah, because I think the good news is history is evergreen.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing something specific around the holidays, like I don't think for what I'm doing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm doing an American Revolution show that's coming out on the 4th of July. Like it's not going to, I don't think it's going to increase or decrease the amount of views I'm going to get on it initially. I mean, there's no shortage of great Thanksgiving and Christmas stories. Like for one, everything we were fed about the origins of American Thanksgiving is fucking bullshit for the most part. Like that's all.
Well, then lay us some history, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, there you go. That's a great Jacked history. That's why I was a little surprised you weren't doing it. I was
well,
like,
I mean, that's the thing is I want to do a whole episode about how the Pledge of Allegiance is fucking stupid socialist propaganda. Just are people ready to hear that?
Yeah. Is your audience ready to go on that?
Yeah. Because it is. It's the Pledge of Allegiance is socialist propaganda.
When did they implement it, or what's the history? What's the Jacked history behind that? Because when was it implemented? I mean, I remember doing it when I was a kid, but that's been going on for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't do it much anymore, from what I understand.
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's good. It's a good thing because it's stupid. It's a good thing if the kids aren't doing it. It's fucking dumb. Pledge of Allegiance, stupid. Star Spangled Banner.
Gangster.
That's a banger.
Yeah.
I'll always stand and fucking sing along with that song. Two different things, though.
Yeah.
No, Pledge of Allegiance was started by a Christian socialist named Francis Bellamy.
Yeah.
He wrote it in order to sell flags.
Oh, really?
It became this propaganda machine.
To sell flags.
Tool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like Hallmark and Valentine's Day.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it ended up becoming a thing where the kids were reciting it in school, and they even had a salute. They stopped doing it in the early 40s because the original, they called it the Bellamy Salute, was I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of. You can see why in the early 40s they said, hey, maybe we just have the kids put their hand over their heart. Yeah, no, it's just a bullshit indoctrination thing, and that's the actual history behind it. There's more to it, but personally, I feel like we really truly are the free country we say we are. Why are we making our children go through this weird routine?
I remember, I agree with you. I remember as a kid, like I didn't mind it, but I was also like, I got the argument when people didn't, that were like you said, they're like, I was like, I get it.
It's not the equivalent of sitting down for the Star Spangled Banner, which also, if you don't want to stand for it, fine. It's a free country. But like, it's not the equivalent of like people sitting during the national anthem. The Pledge of Allegiance is a completely different thing, and it's rooted in so much bullshit and that I haven't even really covered, but it's a weird exercise we do that we can do away with.
I don't even think people do it much anymore. I mean, like,
I think it's dying.
I think it's pretty dying out. Yeah. I remember we stopped doing it, and I went to a private school, like a small Lutheran private school, but we stopped in like 4th grade. I think, or something like that. Like
you can really get into people's heads though, because they're, you don't want to assume, but a lot of the people that cling on to it, I would imagine, are right-leaning.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah.
But you can really get into people's heads by explaining to them like, oh no, this is like socialist propaganda. You're you socialist. You can really fuck with people that way. Yeah.
Well, at least I think people grew up. I feel like the generation before ours. Now, granted, I know ours definitely did, but I remember. I don't even know if the public schools did them. Did you go to public school? Did you?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
I think when I was in high school, but when I was in elementary school, it was very much a thing.
But I remember we stopped around 4th or 5th grade.
Yeah.
I don't know how far you guys went, but yeah. Yeah, I remember doing that. I'm like, okay, cool. I was into it, but like when people are, we're like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, I get that. I could see where it gets a little commie. It gets a little
weird.
Like,
yeah,
you're like, I pledge allegiance to the flag.
This is some North Korea shit we're doing here.
Because it's like Star Spangled Banner is one thing. It's like
it's a song. It's a poem.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Every country has their own national anthem.
National anthem.
This is a story of who we are, and this is how we express our love for what we are. Right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful poem. Turn into a song.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
That is some fucking weird North Korea shit we do when we say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I love the hard stance. I didn't think I'd get to poke the bear a little bit.
Yeah.
Got a hard
we should
stance
not be teaching our children to conform in this kind of way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally get it. I totally get it. I remember that. I remember people bringing that up. I think when we were kids, or at least, you're a few years older than me, but I do remember that whole debate. And I was like, yeah, I kind of get it. Like, like it's not shocking that people were not fans.
Yeah.
Of it,
what are we getting as a society? What are we truly getting from it? Worshipping a flag?
Yeah.
No. You're supposed to love your country. The flag. Worshipping a flag is weird.
Yeah.
Loving your country is great. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Worshipping a flag is weird.
We need to
please, let's get on board.
At least sell those flags.
Yeah. That's exactly. And it all boiled down to a guy wanting to fucking sell flags out of a goddamn magazine.
Do you think he was
an
like
open and avowed socialist?
You think he was like, oh shit, this took off? Like,
that's exactly what happened.
He's like, I gotta keep going.
That's exactly what happened. It became a thing.
Yeah, that's
like
hilarious.
that movie. It's that movie, The Wave. I don't. It's a thing that it actually happened here in the United States. He was a history teacher who was trying to prove to his students how something like Nazi Germany could happen, how normal people could turn into cultist monsters, right? But he created this thing. He was an American. This was probably in the 60s or 70s. He was this American social studies teacher who created this thing with the students called The Wave, and it became this thing that gave them purpose. It became this experiment he was doing without letting anybody else know what was going on. And then within like a month, it turned into this monster where the kids, it had gotten out of control, and the kids became part of this cult.
Really?
Within the school, because it gave them this purpose. And he had to like hard cut
do school assembly. We're done. Everyone's done. Yeah,
right. He had to be like, hey, this... Did everyone just learn the lesson here?
Yeah.
This is how Nazism became a thing.
Yeah.
You got way too into this organization, this cause.
Yeah. You got way too into this wave.
Yeah. I think I am grateful I live in a country that America's health is not determined by who agrees with me. It's determined by who disagrees with me.
Yeah.
If I live in a country where someone can disagree with me, I am in a fucking healthy country.
That's good. That's good stuff. No, that's awesome. And like I said, that's the lesson of jacked history.
Yeah. If I'm in a country where everybody has to get in line or you're a bad guy, we're not in a healthy place.
Not in a good spot. No, I agree. And it's like I said, you're going down the history rabbit hole. It's always, like I said, crazy subjects, fun subjects, especially as you like get older. You see the books around, like I've read these books. So it's like, you're diving more and more and you learn more and more and you're just like, oh my God, like there's so much cool. Even just in our GWAT era, it's reading the books on the horse soldiers, like stuff I didn't know about, or like even guys doing an invasion or Fallujah. You're like, oh shit, I didn't know these things happen, So it's always cool to go back into history or go into like stuff
I don't
that
know
you're-
half those things happened
No,
because
you were
I'm
there,
so
you know?
old now. I don't even remember it unless you ask me a very specific question. I'm like, oh, that did happen. I remember that.
I was an LAR.
Yeah.
037.
Yeah.
No, 0313. What is it?
0313.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah. Neither did I until I was there.
Until about an hour ago, you remember,
Yeah.
I reminded you. Oh, that's awesome, bro. Awesome. So that's what, anything else you're doing? Any I mean, we can go on for a while, but anything else you're doing? And like any new movies coming up, projects, documentaries, anything along those lines that you want to discuss?
Yeah, I mean, I've always got stuff going on. I wouldn't even know where to start. There's stuff I'm in pre-production for and post-production, things that I'm really looking forward to, and things that are just autopilot and like, oh, that's my job.
Yeah. I think that's like you get, like I said, you're writer, character actor. Obviously, you're doing Jacked History. Is there like any stuff that you are like, man, I want to direct this piece or I want to tackle this project and, or
there's stuff I have that are like big big project plans that I have. I don't know if I want to talk about it.
No, you don't have to. Yeah. Is there anything that you're kind of like big project plans, but like now that we're going to circle back to the filmmaking creative side, writing, have you tried that avenue a little bit of like raising funds, trying to go the indie route with like, hey, you did it with Range or, Range 15.
Yeah.
Is there a world where, Jack Mandaville directs a $1.53 million feature or gets the ball rolling for one as a producer?
I love acting, and I will basically, as long as my schedule permits, I will always say yes to any acting opportunity. I have directed like some scripted stuff, like music videos and stuff, and it beat the fucking shit out of me. I like being behind the camera and producing and directing documentary, non-scripted stuff. I've fallen into that by accident, and I really enjoy it. You do it. You know that very well.
Fell into that myself.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
But as far as scripted stuff, no immediate desire to be behind the camera to be a director for that kind of stuff because it's a lot of bullshit. And I'm in such a place with trying to grow the Jacked History stuff that acting jobs I'll always say yes to, but like directing is a lot of effing work. It is a lot of work. And it's very time consuming. And I just, at this very moment, I don't think I have the bandwidth to do anything than what I'm trying to do.
Just Jacked History.
Yeah. Jacked History. And I do the Black Rifle stuff.
Yeah, producer and everything. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Well, shit, man. 2 hours, 48 minutes.
2 hours, 48 minutes.
What was Marty's?
I don't know.
God damn it. All right.
I don't know.
Marty, I'm coming for you.
I'm about to hit some rush hour traffic, I can tell you that.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast,
Dude, thanks
bro.
for having me.
This is awesome. I'm so pumped. Spend the Marine Corp birthday with Jack Mandaville.
Yeah, right. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
I'm pumped. I'm glad we made this happen. Because you were coming up one way or the other. I was like, you were coming up like 3 times. I'm like, if I got to fly you
could
up.
have done it tomorrow too, but that would have been Veterans Day, so that's even worse.
Yeah. So, well, like even you were, I think, were you coming back for Christmas at some point too for family?
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I was like, he's coming. And I was like, oh, I'm going to fly this guy up on my own time.
I'm here 2 or 3 times a year. We were going to catch each other.
Yeah, one way or the other. I was like, it's going to happen. So, no, thanks for coming on. Where can people find you? Where can they find Jacked History? All that stuff.
Jacked History is on YouTube. It's at Jacked History. I'm also on Pepperbox, if you're a subscriber of that. And JACKEDHISTORY. And I'm Jack Mandaville on, Instagram and all. I do Twitter and Instagram. I don't do TikTok. I know I got to get up to speed. I got to be utilizing all the social media, but I've been doing it so long. I'm just becoming an old man about it. My goal, you want to hear a 5-year plan?
Yeah.
I have hired a 22-year-old to run everything social media. That's part of my 5-year. That's part of my 2-year plan. There's a 22-year-old that is doing all the clipping and posting and all that stuff. And engagement.
100%, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You are preaching to the choir. You're a better man than me when it comes to social media. I am not the worst, but I do just enough to get by.
Yeah, and I gotta get better. I know I gotta get better because I've done it. But it's the more you do it, the more you hate it.
I know. All right. Well, we'll end on that note. We hate social media.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Later, bro.